and obviously now he's got Jack Carson over, and now John Lewis and Ravi Shastri are having a long chat here as well. This is lovely to see, isn't it?
I love this.
Yeah, and Ravi Shastri's he's talking about the way that Carson's bowling, and this is really nice to see, and yeah, fascinating to see Ravi Shastri with John Lewis and Jack Carson, and genuinely having a good chat about Jack Carson's bowling. So yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? Really, really good to see.
I like it. It's not quite up there with a county championship match between Lancashire and Hampshire. A few years, well, quite a long time ago now, where during one lunchtime for 40 minutes, Shane Warne and Murali were out in the middle, just showing each other their own skills, sharing their skills and having a good time, just two of them. And of course it was, you know, a quietish midweek day for championship cricket, and those two there. Now in the day, if that had been footage of that had been available and you'd put that out on social media, it was a lovely thing to watch.
Absolutely. Well, we've been talking about Haseeb Hameed this morning, and obviously he's in that test squad, but on that tour to India in 2016, that photo of him sitting down with Virat Kohli at the end of the first test having a long chat, that sort of went round the world, didn't it? So yeah, I think that's lovely. Ravi Shastri there having a genuinely good chat with Carson and John Lewis. So yeah, fantastic to see that.
You mentioned the squad. And the squad, the England test squad, this is for the first opening two tests against India. 4th of August, Trent Bridge. Joe Root, James Anderson, Johnny Bairstow, Dom Best, Stuart Broad, Rory Burns, Joss Butler, Zach Crawley, Sam Curran, Haseeb Hameed, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, Ollie Pope, Ollie Robinson, Dom Sibley, Ben Stokes, Mark Wood. So Ben Stokes is back. Butler, Bairstow, Curran also come back into the test squad. Ollie Robinson is included. Archer, not available due to injury. Right elbow, he's had the surgery, he's back bowling, just getting back into it now. Chris Wokes with a bruised heel, he's not available either due to injury. So there we are. What about Ollie Pope? How's he getting on these days?
Well, yeah, he's had this calf injury, and they sort of announced that they're going to try and get him fit for the first test. So he's in the squad. What interests me as well there is there's been a lot of talk about the England top three, hasn't there? So Burns is nailed in now because he had such a good series against New Zealand. Crawley, Sibley, Hameed, and Johnny Bairstow's in that squad as well. So I'm just thinking that top three, you know, there's Burns, as I say, is nailed on. Sibley, Hameed, Crawley, Bairstow. Bairstow can bat at 3. He's done it before, hasn't he? And scored 100. So that'll be really interesting. And I suppose it's quite a big squad, isn't it, because of COVID and everything. But that'll be that's sort of what jumps out at you. Is been huge amounts of chatter about England's top 3, and we're watching Hameed here. Johnny Bairstow back in the squad, and then Zach Crawley was short of runs against New Zealand, and of course Dom Sibley. So and Hameed here in many ways has played sort of a Dom Sibley type innings, hasn't he, with his 23 from 75 balls? But he's looked good, and as we all said, you know, we saw him for about 10 balls this morning, and everyone in the box was saying, yep, everything's where it should be, everything's in the right place. So yeah, interesting squad. Obviously having Ben Stokes back helps, sort of balances your team up a bit, doesn't it, when Ben Stokes is available again. But well, the preparation for both sides, it's not going to be a normal preparation for that series. As you were saying, I think England, do they go to Loughborough? Are they meeting up
Wednesday.
at Loughborough? Is it Wednesday? And then they're going to play, well, they'll play a bit amongst themselves, won't they, I would have thought, as India are doing. And then it's straight into that first test at Trent Bridge. So it's not a normal build-up for either side, really. But as we saw here this morning, again, it was a great morning of cricket. And I think India will really appreciate the way that the sort of county 11 have played here, in that they bowled really nicely at them this morning. It's been tough cricket this morning. They've picked up their 3 wickets, but Hameed's really got his head down, and Will Rhodes with him before lunch. So I think from a sort of an India point of view, they're getting everything out of this game so far they would have wanted. And I thought the 4 Indian quicks this morning were absolutely terrific. Really, really good. working as a quartet. I thought they were absolutely magnificent this morning.
Is it not worth pointing out that there were a couple of rounds of championship matches which actually only finished last week? So that, technically speaking, then is only a fortnight between those matches finishing.
Yeah.
And the issue surely is then the cricket in between, which there's been a little bit of blast, not a lot. And then there's the 2 games they say they're going to have the England players available for 200 matches. And that's where the problem can be, that if you've played too much of a certain sort of... But there was a chance for some of them at least to... But I suppose quite a few of them were also involved with the one-day England setup, weren't they? And even more so because of the fact that they needed to pick a second team.
And I think it's what you say, that that round of championship matches ended, was it last week? I can't remember what we're doing today.
No, it was last week.
Last week.
No.
But then what you've got in between, for some of the counties, 2 T20 games, and then we've got one-day cup and the 100. So as a build up
none of the England players
for
being in the
5
one-day
days.
cup, though.
No, but as a sort of a build up into a test series.
Yeah.
There's always talk when you're on tour, isn't there, of sort of that argument of, well, would that happen for England if they were there? And I know COVID's come into play and everything, but the way they've done it, it's not been the ideal build up for England, and they're in their own country. So I sort of understand that argument, but they're just going to play some inter-squad games and then go into the test match against India.
We're about to see the afternoon session get underway. Day 2 of this 3-day first-class match, and India made 311. The first-class counties are 44 for 3, and Haseeb Hameed, now we can confirm that he's in that squad again, and that first delivery is past the off-stump and through to the keeper, and Hameed just raises his head to the skies again, because it's very bright. I think it's all about sort of just getting the eyesight just used to the brightness, and it is bright out there. And our little friend Bertie the butterfly just flies by from left to right in front of us. I think that's the very one that came in and said hello to us yesterday.
Not the one that came out of your suitcase then?
No, that was a moth.
No.
Next delivery, bowls and worked away onto the onside, and there'll be no run. No, slight concern this morning, as I decided I'd had to spare 10 minutes to empty the old trunk, the trunk of wires and cables that have travelled the world with me. And as I opened it up, I discovered about 30 receipts from a tour I went on about 4 years ago. Now, I can't for the life of me remember whether I made the claims or not on it, but clearly it's too late now. No wonder I'm short on the old cash. And also a moth came out.
Yes.
A little embarrassing. Next delivery, bowls full and defensively push square on the offside. There'll be no run. So yeah, that was a little alarming. But no, yesterday we had a beautiful butterfly come inside, and even to say so myself, I think that Chris Packham, was, for those who are not used to the British TV, is a man who looks after nature, and I thought I dealt with it very tenderly. I just grabbed it carefully by its wings and let it fly.
I was sort of brought up with Terry Nutkins. Do you remember Terry Nutkins?
Well, Chris Packham, of course, was his young sidekick for a few years. Back to the cricket. Yadav in and bowling and past the off stump and through to the keeper, and there'll be no run, so it remains at 44 for 3. Anyway, so beautiful butterflies flying around as well on what is now officially again a glorious northeastern,
lovely, isn't it?
A northeast day here at Emirates Riverside. Yadav's bowling his 6th over, bowled 5 this morning. Terrific stuff. And he's back on again, but bowling from a different end. He bowled from the top end, the Lumley end this morning. Started this afternoon session, he's bowling from the Finkel end, and he's bowling to Hameed, who's on 23. Low, very low, past the off stump, through to the keeper. So Hameed's 23 off 78 balls, Rhodes on 3 from 20 deliveries.
It's interesting, isn't it? We were sort of discussing Hameed this morning. He'd have known he was in that test squad when he walked out to bat. I'm pretty sure they'd have let him know yesterday. So he'd have known already that he was in that test squad. And that's what we were sort of talking about before we knew this morning. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, but he probably knew anyway.
Next delivery bowled. Oh, comes back in at him there. High up into the offside. A little scream of interest, if nothing else. Yadav 6 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 13. So the wickets that have fallen in this county select 11 reply. Libby bowled Yadav for 12 off 24 balls. 20 on the board at that stage. That was just the end of the 9th over. Only 4 more runs added. Yates was caught by Rahul, the wicketkeeper, off Bamber for 1. And then Washington Sundar, who's part of the county 11, but was out to a wonderful ball from Siraj. Caught in the slips off the bowling of Siraj for 1. He faced just 7 deliveries. So those 3 wickets fell for 9 runs in the end, in the space of basically 4 overs this morning. India having batted on, but not for very long before they were all out for 311. And we've had a very pleasant lunch, and we enjoyed listening to memories of 1981 at lunchtime as well, and a little chat about the one-day squad. You can find out all details and reaction, of course. Follow the BBC website, go to the sports section, the cricket section, all details there. Meantime, here, back in this game, second day of this match, Rhodes is on 3. And defensively pushed by Rhodes into the offside. Churchy, you're into cricket clothing far better than me, but he looks overdressed. I'm concerned he's too hot out there. Well, Will Rhodes.
I think it's one of these modern short sleeve jumpers, I think, which the old cable knits, you don't see them these days. So I think it's one of these sort of new sort of short-sleeved jumpers.
He's a sensible lad. He'll be comfortable. He just looks overdressed. Next delivery in and bowled. This is Bumrah. They've swapped ends basically from this morning. Just to be onto the onside, no run.
Just seen. Obviously, we were talking about Avesh Khan yesterday and coming off with an injury, and Cricinfo saying that on Wednesday. That was today. The BCCI's media team sent an update on Khan saying he would not be taking any further part in the warm-up match and that he remains under observation for his thumb.
Yeah. It looked nasty.
Did look nasty.
So, it's Bumrah bowling from the Lumley end. In past the umpire. Bowls now. And a delivery which sort of just moves across a little. I think left-handed Rhodes. Be keen, possible, not to follow the likes of Libby and Yates a little too cheaply for their liking back into the pavilion.
Well, this is exactly what we saw before lunch. Bumrah and Yadav are straight away. Very tight line, very tight length. Runs hard to come by. Run rate at the moment is 1.96.
In again, Bumrah bowls to Rhodes. And he goes to underarm. A throwback there.
But yeah, the four-man pace attack this morning I thought were outstanding for India in the fact that they sort of worked their way into it, and then every single one of them played their part in just building up pressure. Yadav, Bumrah, Siraj and Thakur all had 5 overs this morning.
And he's off again. In, and he bowls, and that's pushed away onto the onside. Here, when looking at this action, which has been talked about before, and the approach, but it really does. He's almost like shaping up like a spinner, isn't he? That's and the thing.
It's the wrist, and it's the right arm and the wrist position. It's perfect, and it's like a catapult, really.
But also the run-up, it is slightly different. It doesn't come off the same run-up every time, does it?
It comes shorter sometimes.
Yeah. In past the umpire again now. And that's squeezed away. That's going to be 4 runs down to third man. A fairly busy slip cordon there. But it gets past them all along the ground. So last ball of that over. Rhodes will get a century. He'd love that.
What an
He gets
afternoon.
a boundary. And he moves on to 7. Where did I get century from there? Well, who hopefully, foresight.
May have forced.
Anyway, he's on to 7, and it's 48 for 3. And Bumrah's now bowled 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 40.
Yeah, it's fascinating watching Bumrah because he sort of got 3 steps, and then he actually only runs in 4 paces, but generates the speed that he does. He's a fascinating bowler to watch, and it might be this from all 4 of them again will get 5 over spells here. Saw that this morning. All 4 got 5 over spells this morning. Might be the same again this afternoon.
Delivery bowled and comes back into Hameed into the offside.
Yeah, with Hameed as well here, he'll sort of be thinking to himself, where can I find a run? Because before lunch did brilliantly, but any bat batsman wants to see their score tick round. But you know, as a sort of opener's innings so far, this has been exemplary from Hameed.
Again, turns to Yadav. Right arm bowls past the off stump. There have been some confident leaves. That one was just shot a little low, didn't pass the off stump. But Hameed doesn't look perplexed by any of this. Being part of that Nottinghamshire revival. Couldn't quite get the wins that they were looking for right at the beginning of the season, but then they got themselves on a good run.
It's a good-looking first division, isn't it?
In fact, it was Will Rhodes and his Warwickshire team that really frustrated them at Nottingham just before they got their win at Derby the following week. Next ball, bowled full defensively by Hameed. Offside, no run. Yeah, I think it is. I sway between thinking what they're going to do, and my gut feeling at the moment, and trying to pick up on reading in between the lines, is they're going to stick with the same format for next year. Although thinking that now is no time to make the big call because we're still in the pandemic. But now I think it's going to be 10 and 8. I think they're going 10 and 8. Maybe not next year, but the year after. Hameed's on 23, meantime, and full face of the bat defensively. There comes down sharply in there. Again, looking in control. They rushed a little, but that's because the bowling's good.
Yeah.
But otherwise in control.
That's the thing here. Yadav again. What's he bowled now since lunch? 10 deliveries at Hameed. Every single one has either been just outside his off stump or on his off stump, and he's had to play every single one of those. So Yadav has just settled again here into this line length, giving absolutely no width to Hameed at the moment.
Bowls on the leg stump. That one wasn't one of the better ones, and therefore allows Hameed to pick up a single through mid-wicket.
In a way, that's a moral victory for Hameed in the fact that he's just straightened his line a touch there as Yadav, because Hameed's been happy to let balls go or defend them after lunch, and there he's just straightened his line up a touch, and he's just worked him into the leg side for a single. So good bit of batting that from Hameed again, very patient. 24 now from 86 deliveries. That is proper innings this. Hameed.
And this is the last ball of the over, which now Will Rhodes is facing. On 7. And bowling now. And oohs and ahs, but the biggest noise is the no from the captain. And 49 for 3 in reply to India's 311. Listening to us on 5 Live Sports Extra from the BBC. As I say, you can pick up all the coverage, all the build-up to the Test series on the BBC website, on the cricket section, and also, of course, you might be following us on the stream as well. I know many are. And good afternoon to you. In India right now, what are we talking? Early evening. We've just had our lunch. You've maybe just had your early tea evening meal.
We had a very nice chicken stir fry for lunch. Breast of chicken on a bed of noodles.
Yep. No knives and forks. We didn't sit on our.
It was like being around the campfire a bit.
Yeah,
with
that's
you
a bit like
during
street
lunch.
food, proper street food.
Absolutely.
I thought. Yeah.
Using our hands.
Cleaned, of course. Hameed on 24. Next ball bowled on a nice looking drive, but straight at extra cover.
I think the key thing was we used our own hands, didn't we? We didn't use each other's for our food. We used our own hands for our food. Yeah, Hameed keeps looking up at the sky just because before lunch we had a bit of cloud cover and the sun came out. Now the sun is fully out, so very bright out there, and he just keeps having a little look up to the sun. Does Hameed? Doesn't want to look directly into it, of course.
Bumrah's bowling with 3 slips, and then a gully and then a backward point. And they go now as he comes in past the umpire. And Hameed, fairly comfortable leave there past the off stump. Nice little bit of lift pass, but comfortable enough, and quite wide off the off stump as well.
Well, interestingly there, after he let that one go, he then rehearsed that late cut down to third man. We saw him play that first ball from Shiraj, where he just waited, opened the face and guided it down to third man. So he's obviously in his head thinking, where am I finding a run here against Bumrah?
And he approaches again, gets upright, and then at that point delivers. Oh, and that's a beauty, an absolute beauty. And delivery through to the keeper. We'll be able to ask Abhishek about that delivery in a few moments' time when he comes on and joins us. Sharp delivery.
Well, he's played it pretty well, has Hameed. He just did enough dropping his hands there, but it's a really good delivery from Bumrah. And again, it's that quicker ball, isn't it, with no discernible change in his action. That really did rocket into the gloves of KL Rahul.
In again, midway through this over. Bowls lower past the off stump. I said it's a battle, and that's what we've enjoyed about this game. There have been some battles out there. Everybody giving of their best. There's no sort of... there may have been a bit of rustiness yesterday, but there's been no sort of just slowly moving through the gears. Everybody's been right on it from the word go.
Cracking lead that from Hameed as well. Lovely delivery from Bumrah. But Hameed just letting that one go. It wasn't too far away from the top of his off stump.
24 not out. Bumrah bowls again. This one sits up and gets up on him and does well. I mean, you know, it's looking at him. You know, of course he might be out next ball, but he also just has this air of okay, whatever, whatever you're going to, you can make it as different and vary it as much as you like. You know, coming back up high, wide, and all. But you know, I'm just watching every ball and it probably will need a good ball, a very good ball to get him out here. But we've also seen that this attack from India are more than capable of providing and producing that excellence. And full. And that one is pushed into the offside. But, you know, that's the sort of thing we've been seeing from Hameed from word go this morning. If that ball is sort of fullish and there just to be pushed away defensively, he's certainly got that mastered, and that's not going to get him. It's going to need something really, well, maybe just a special ball, but also maybe the pitch just to misbehave in some way, and because otherwise he's steady away at the moment is Hameed. And Bumrah has bowled 7 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 14 at 49 for 3. India made 311, and I think from a county 11 point of view, a successful afternoon session for them is the sort of session of cricket that you would just dream
absolutely
about.
Absolutely.
Maybe not another run for another half an hour.
Well, absolutely. And look, I'm loving this from Hameed because he looks solid as a rock at the moment. He really does against this extremely good attack. Yeah, people will say, well, he hasn't got any shots. He's not been allowed to play any at the moment. As
next delivery is bowled. Oh, and another one which keeps fairly low. Are we seeing more of this? Yeah,
I think we are. We said yesterday, Abhishek yesterday said that there's a little bit of up and down. That was pretty wide, that delivery, and Rhodes, his feet didn't go anywhere. He sort of just hung the bat out there. And then, of course, this morning, the interesting thing was we saw Patterson-White get one to absolutely bounce and explode at Bumrah, I think it was, and it hit his gloves and just looped away into the offside and fell into safety.
And it's Rhodes on 7, and that's uppish, but it's safe enough in the end. Behind square on the offside, and Rhodes will get runs here. He won't get a 4. He will get a 3. Well, 3 runs. It brings up the 50 for the FCC 11 in the 26th over in reply to 311. But that had me just a little bit concerned for a little while.
Yeah, but it's good from Rhodes because Hameed's playing really well, but he's not scoring runs at the moment. So Rhodes there just takes pressure off Hameed. 3 boundary in the previous over from Bumrah. It's not exactly where he's intending it to go, but it is getting that scoreboard shifting a touch now.
2 balls into this over. Yadav bowls again. Right arm. Bowls full. Push back up to the bowler. Just a quick word about another retirement. This time it's Yorkshire and former Warwickshire spinner Josh Poysden who's retired at the age of 29. And suffered a very nasty injury. Remember, he suffered a fractured skull after being hit by a ball in training back in 2019. He's featured in just one blast game for the first team this season, so it's not an easy decision, he says, to retire, but feels now is the right time to move on. So we wish Josh all the best. Next ball full again. Push back up to the bowler and no run.
Yeah, he's a lovely fella. I first met Josh Boysden. We mentioned Zafar Ansari this morning. They were at Cambridge together, and I think it was during a pre-season or something. Went down to see Zafar, and Josh Boysden was there, and of course became quite famous as well because he went to the England World Cup game, didn't he? And he was caught on the telly jumping around the place at the football as well. So, no, lovely fella, Josh Boysden.
Next delivery bowls, and that's past the off stump through to the keeper. We'll also see build up to the 100. Owen Morgan saying excitement for the 100 is through the roof. Ishigua on Radio 4 Today programme this morning said, can you think of any negatives about the competition at all? Any concerns? No, none at all. Just full fun and excitement. It all gets underway this evening.
I'll be listening on my way to Scarbados.
I get the impression the locals don't like that.
What, Scarbados?
Yeah.
I'm not local, so I'm fine.
Well, I think you're right. Next delivery is past the off stump and taken low down by the keeper. But I don't you going out? It's 52 for 3. When you're going out one of your late nights again, and then saying to the locals, Scarbados.
Well, all right, but I am looking forward to getting there tonight. But it could take a while, I think. Parking might be an issue, I believe.
Parking's always an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very popular place
to get a
residence and in this lovely
permit.
Weather. Anyway, Abhishek's going to come in and join you with things steady but interesting and intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. And as I say, all these quicks had 5 over spells before lunch, so it would probably make sense to see 5 over spells from them all after lunch. Bumrah's continuing down there in the distance from the Lumley end. He's going to come round the wicket here to Will Rhodes. Abhishek is moving into the seat to my left in the commentary box. Got the windows open. It's cooler in here today than it was yesterday, I think, because Bumrah comes round the wicket to the left-handed Rhodes, and Rhodes up on his toes, punches into the offside half stop at cover point, and they will pick up a single, and that'll be 1 more to the total, 1 more to Will Rhodes. Rhodes moves on to 11. Hameed comes back on to strike on 24, 53 for 3. The select county 11. Ground staff still sat in the stand away to our right in the sun. Nice afternoon for watching cricket. One of those afternoons where if you are a member of the ground staff, you've got to stay on your toes though, because you could easily just nod off at this sort of time of day, I think, in this heat. Well, I could anyway. As in over the wicket comes Bumrah again, and this one's left alone on goodish length by Hameed and into the gloves of KR Rahul, moving away to his right hand side.
I nearly did when I was on my break. I did nod off.
Well, we weren't going to say anything, but I did. We did look across at one point, and we thought,
that's tempting.
There he is. Well, you've had your lunch. It's hot. Those two cook. That's never a great combination, is it?
Especially when you have rice.
Absolutely.
You always feel sleepy.
Absolutely.
Always.
But yeah, very very kind of Durham again. Lovely lunch today. But yeah, for that ground staff, I think they're going to have a little wander round at times just to keep the feet moving. As Bumrah's in again, no ball, and that's well run by Hameed and Rhodes. Just drops it into the offside and immediately sets off for the single. And that's good from Rhodes, good from Hameed. Hameed moves on to 25, 55 for 3. Exactly what you were talking about this morning, Abhishek, because we know what's coming here. I was saying that sort of 5 over spells for the 4 quicks this morning. I'm sure we'll see exactly the same this afternoon. And Hameed and Rhodes are just trying to find a way to rotate strike here, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what we spoke about earlier, that they need to rotate the strike. They don't want the bowlers to be bowling at the same batsman for a long period of time. There's always a plan which the bowler can set.
But round the wicket he comes to Rhodes. Oh, bottom edge onto his pads. Otherwise that would have been the end of Will Rhodes, because he was sat back on his stumps, but he's got a little bottom edge onto the pad, and it's rolled away into the offside. But Bumrah's got him going back into that crease at the moment. It's good bowling from Bumrah again, isn't it?
For a moment it looked like it's absolutely plumb in front of the wicket, but as you mentioned, it's got a bottom edge that probably saved him. But wonderful bowling again from Jasprit Bumrah, just keeping that pressure on in both these players.
Around the wicket he comes again. Bumrah to Rhodes. Rhodes is forward. That's hit the bottom edge of his bat and rolled to KL Rahul behind the stump. So he's got a bottom edge on that, as Will Rhodes, and that's rolled straight down to the keeper. And Rhodes is down to do a bit of guarding. We have seen some up and down, haven't we, Bounce?
We have seen it on occasion, but on that occasion, I don't think it was the ball. It was just the way he played it. He didn't go forward. He was again expecting something to be probably back of length, and Jasprit Bumrah bowling a very good length and line here at the moment.
1 for 17 for Bumrah. As round the wicket he comes once again to Rhodes, and Rhodes is in behind this, pushes up towards mid-off. Rob Yates was Bumrah's victim this morning, just having a cut at a wideish delivery, getting a thick outside edge, and KL Rahul doing the rest of the work behind the stumps. Jake Libby was the first to go bowled off the inside edge by Yadav for 12, and then Washington Sundar, well, Siraj bowled him a ball. Well, how he was going to get out the way of that, I do not know. It just leapt at him and looped out towards slip, and Rohit Sharma, the captain, took the catch. Now, India not happy with the ball at the moment, so they're trying to get the ball changed. I think they're not happy with something out there. Jadeja's just wandered across with the ball at the moment, though, and they're bowling nicely with this one. But Jadeja there just wandered across to umpire Pollard for a chat about the ball. As Bumrah, round the wicket he comes once again to Will Rhodes, and Rhodes is forward, pushes this one out into the offside, and there is no run. So another very good over from Jasprit Bumrah. Got a very tidy figure, well, they all have at the moment. 8 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 17, and Yadav pretty sure will continue, because it looks as if it'll be 5 over spells each again.
It looks like it. It's a hot day. Still very, very warm, very muggy out there. So it's never easy for the fast bowlers to continue bowling a very, very long spell. And it's high time we see a bit of spin as well, Churchy.
Oh, I think, well, you know I want to.
There was a bit of turn. Yesterday there was a bit of turn. Some of the balls just kicked off length as well. We saw in the first innings when Patterson was bowling. So I think, yeah, at some point we will see a bit of spin from Axar Patel and Ravindra Jadeja. They need a bit of match time as well. They haven't been out there in the middle. They haven't bowled a lot. So it's important that they get a decent number of overs in before they get into the test series in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, in an ideal situation for India, and I know they want to get one of these two out, but if these two could get through the 5 overs from each of the quicks, then the spinners are going to have to come into play. As Yadav is into Hameed, good running again from Hameed, quick single, he's just pushed that out into the offside. Good work from Yadav off his own bowling, but again, very good from Hameed, and Rhodes just drops it into the offside and sets off for the single straight away, rotates the strike, brings the left-hander onto striking. Rhodes, good cricket that.
Yeah, very good cricket, very good running between the wickets, good understanding between these two, given that they haven't probably batted ever together. But it's very important that you quickly adapt to the situation. There are times in cricketers' life when you play in different teams with different oppositions, with a lot of different players, and you need to be able to adapt as quickly as you can.
Round the wicket comes Yadav to Rhodes. Rhodes forward, pushing this one out towards cover point, and there's no run. Ethan Bamber and Richard Dawson are just wandering back from the nets down below us. As I say, during lunch we were very lucky to be able to watch John Lewis watching Virat Kohli having a net against Jack Carson. So that was lovely. And actually, I have to say, Avesh, it was really good to see them all having a chat afterwards, and Ravi Shastri having a long chat as well with Carson. It was lovely to see. As Yadav is round the wicket to Rhodes, that's a beauty, beats the outside edge, and KL Rahul takes that one moving away to his right hand side. Lovely bit of bowling that from Yadav, nicely taken by KL Rahul. But of course Ravi Shastri, very fine off spinner in his own right, and opening batsman, of course, didn't start opening but ended up opening for India. Remember a wonderful 100 he got against England back at the Oval. 56 for 3 as round the wicket comes Yadav once again. Short ball, and Rhodes just jumps inside this. I think he has pulled the bat and the hands inside the line of that, but it's nicely bowled again by Yadav. He gets a pat on the back for his troubles as well.
Yeah, great length again, and very, very good execution of the skills by the Indian bowlers so far. In the 27.4 overs they have bowled, they've always managed to keep the pressure on the county 11 players, and hence they've managed to pick up 3 important wickets as well, one of them being Sundar.
And the wicket again goes Yadav, and bowls Rhodes with an absolute perler. And Will Rhodes there has just stayed on the crease. It's nipped back. I think that's knocked out his leg stump. I wonder if he may have got a little inside edge on it as well, but it's bowled by Yadav, Will Rhodes, but it's just a lovely setup, really. And Yadav has his second wicket. Rhodes goes for 11.
Yeah, that's an absolute peach. And again, with Rhodes, you've seen this previously as well, that he's not a huge fan of going forward, and that's why again he was waiting on the back foot. He was caught in middle, nor back foot nor front foot, and he allowed the ball to do enough to beat him outside his edge, and hitting the top of off was a wonderful delivery from Umesh Yadav. But again, if he could have gone forward to that delivery, he probably would have managed to play that. And that's why it's very important to be very decisive with your footwork. Either you go forward or you go back. Whenever you caught in the middle, you always end up being in some sort of trouble. But a wonderful delivery from Umesh Yadav. 4th wicket down for the county 11, 56 for 4. A bit of a struggle here.
Oh, I tell you, that's a lovely piece of bowling again from Yadav. It really is. Because don't forget the previous 2 went past his outside edge, sort of going the other way. And then he's got stuck on the crease, understandably. That one's just nipped back. So they have been very impressive so far, these Indian quick bowlers. Lyndon James is making his way out there into the middle. Bowled very well. Lyndon James now walking out there. He's had a good all-round season. 416 runs for Nottinghamshire, average of 29.71, highest score of 79, 14 wickets as well. And of course yesterday, picking up 3 yesterday, Lyndon James, couple yesterday, but really got the ball rolling for the county select 11. Now he's out there with the bat, and a bit of a job to do here. 56 for 4, but it's been fascinating watching these India bowlers go through their paces. It's been a work of art so far, really.
I mean, all of them have come out with the purpose here. It's just they haven't taken it as just a warm-up game. They wanted to come out there and execute their skills well, and they have done that. And I think it's a great preparation. If you look at it, the way they have come out there and the way they've executed, it's a great preparation going into the Test series. And if the English batters are looking at this game, and if they see some highlights, yeah, they will see that there's a lot of good bowlers coming at them.
Absolutely, as Yadav is in, and his first ball to Lyndon James is down the leg side, and Lyndon James gets nothing on that, and that's very well taken again by KL Rahul, but lovely over that from Yadav. I think it's been, again, this preparation for India here has been perfect in that yesterday they had to work hard for their runs, and they're having to work hard for these wickets at the moment, aren't they? And they're having to bowl in an English way at the moment, which is every ball line length, and your skills. So actually, in many ways, as I say, this is ideal preparation for India at the moment, and we're enjoying watching Haseeb Hameed bat here. 26 out of 56, 99 deliveries. This will be his 100th delivery he's facing, Abhishek.
Yeah, they've been at it, the Indian bowlers. And Hameed, he's still out there. He's fighting it out for his side here. It's been a bit of a lone battle.
It has.
From his end, but he's batted really, really well so far.
Jasprit Bumrah then. So 1, 2, 3, and then 5 paces of a run, and this one's left alone outside his off stump by Hameed. That's his 100th delivery. Haseeb Hameed, but nothing wrong with this at all. Proper innings this from Haseeb Hameed. I was boring everybody again yesterday with Hashim Amla's 37 not out from 287 deliveries. It was what was needed on the day. At the moment, Hameed is just defying everything that India are bowling to him at the moment. He's in that test squad as well. 56 for 4. Hameed, 26 not out, stands with that bat raised right-handed as Bumrah over the wicket he comes to him. Hameed again leaves alone outside his off stump.
Even when he's leaving the ball, he's looking very good, looking very confident, and that's a good sign for any player, a good sign for any batsman. And knowing that he's already been selected in the squad would have taken a lot of pressure off his shoulder. He's playing with a free mind now. He doesn't have that pressure of performing, that I have to get runs here, otherwise I might not be selected. And now the pressure is gone. Now he can be out there, enjoy himself, try and get a big one, which will give him a lot of confidence. The preparation we were talking about getting into the test series is probably one of the best preparation he can have.
Oh, without a doubt. As in over the wicket once again comes Bumrah. Nice looking shot from Hameed. Just pushes forward, leans on the ball into a gap through the offside and pick up 2 more. Hameed moves on to 28, 58 for 4. Because I was saying to Mr. Howells there, so the England top 3, there's been an awful lot of chat about the England top 3, of course. Rory Burns nailed on now. But then Dom Sibley, Zach Crawley, but also in that squad now, Hameed and Johnny Bairstow, who has batted in the top 3 for England, got 100 batting at 3 in Sri Lanka. So, yeah, interesting, very interesting. And I know they've picked a bigger squad because of COVID for these first 2 tests, but interesting. That top 3, a couple of spots maybe could be up for grabs at some point, as Bumrah will come over the wicket to Hameed with 3 slips and a gully. And Hameed this time is in behind a back of a length delivery and just pushing it solidly back up the pitch. And there is no run as Jadeja comes up to do the fielding.
And also, a lot of times you see players getting runs. You can get runs. If you're lucky, if your luck is on your side on that particular day, you can still score runs. Even if you look edgy, you look scratchy. But looking at him at the moment, the way he has played this innings, the way he's building this innings, he just gives you that security that once he's in, he's not going to throw 8 wickets away. He's going to be there.
Bumrah into him. And again, he's solidly in behind this one, Hameed.
And you have to bowl a very, very good delivery to get him out. And that's exactly, as a captain, as a selector, as a team management, that's exactly what you want from a player. The security that once he's in, you can relax, because it'll take an absolute beauty of a delivery to dismiss him. Otherwise, he's not throwing his wicket away.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you want in Test cricket in your top 3, isn't it?
Absolutely.
As Bumrah comes towards us over the wicket to Hameed. Hameed again, solid looking defensive shot. And you can hear the grunt of effort as well from Bumrah. He's really putting it in here. End of the over, 58 for 4. Hameed 28. James yet to get off the mark. And that defensive shot is just... you're bowling well, but you're not coming through me. You, as you say, Abhishek, you have got to do something pretty special to knock me over.
And also as a bowler, when you see a batsman playing a defense... As a bowler, the most intimidating thing, I think, for a bowler, for a fast bowler of that quality, is that when a guy plants his foot on the front foot, not plants it, goes on the front foot coming at you, and then plays a proper defense, a perfect defense from the middle of the bat. As a bowler, that's demoralizing. Yeah. Because now you're thinking, how do I get this guy out? But if it's streaky, it's edgy, you always think there's a chance of me getting this guy out. But at the moment, the feeling he gives that he is completely in control of his game.
Well, from memory, he hasn't played a missed yet. Yadav continues from the Finkel end to Lyndon James. Nice looking shot from Lyndon James. Just drives up to mid-off, but there's no run.
I think his plan has been very, very clear that anything outside the off-stump, he's leaving really, really well. He's a very good judge of where the off-stump is. Anything on the stumps, which is not a half volley, he just blocks it. He's basically waiting for 2 deliveries here. Either it's going to be a full ball, which I can just drive or punch through offside or onside, or I'm going to wait on my back foot. If there's anything short, I'm just going to try and punch it through covers.
Over the wicket again comes Yadav. In behind this goes Lyndon James, plays this one out into the offside. Well, it's the same, again, mentioning Rory Burns, but with Rory, let balls go, let ball go, straighten up on me, clip through the leg side, thank you very much, I'm picking up runs. And it's your method, isn't it, of getting the bowler to straighten up at you in many ways.
And at some point the bowlers would, once the bowler sees that he's leaving too many deliveries. At the end of the day, the fast bowler is running a long way to deliver a delivery.
Forward again goes Lyndon James to Yadav, pushes out into the offside, and there's no run.
And then as a batsman, if you just keep leaving them, it's very frustrating for the bowler. Then he has to change his line. He has to come up with a plan B and come onto the stumps. And people who are very strong on the onside, like Rory Burns is, who scores majority of the runs on the onside, or he waits for the short ball. A bit like Cook.
Yep,
Sir Alistair
absolutely.
Cook. But these people are so strong mentally that they know their game so well, and they don't deviate from their game plan. And that's why they're so successful as well.
Over the wicket once again comes Yadav. Forward goes Lyndon James, plays this one back up the pitch, and there's no run. Well, again, sorry, but on the Haseeb Amla, I was saying there's an entire generation of players that wouldn't have understood what on earth Haseeb Amla was up to. And there aren't many that could do what he did, which is just leave every shot in the locker. Cook would have been one of them. He could have done that. Yeah. But there aren't many these days that after a period of time, they want to play a shot. As over the wicket once again comes Yadav, and this one's left alone outside the off-stump. I came up 100 tonight, looking forward to it, but I came up with an alternative idea where my one is you walk out there to bat, you've got 100 balls, but you're not allowed to play a shot. Can you get through 100 balls without playing a shot? And I think actually some of the modern generation of cricketers will find that really difficult.
Well, it will be, yeah, they will find it very difficult. Yes, it's doable, but do you have the mental discipline to do that? That's a different question.
Yadav's in over the wicket, and Lyndon James pushes this one away out into the offside. So very tight start again in Yadav. That's his 5-over spell, I think. He'll be out the attack now. 2 for 18, 10 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 18. A few thoughts from Avesh. Actually, Avesh, explain to us when you're batting, how do you switch on and off? Because that's the key. Because concentrating for 6 hours, nobody can concentrate for a full 6 hours, can they? I
think you just concentrate on that particular delivery. And if you're not batting, if you're on the non-striker end, you completely switch off. You're not thinking about too much about that particular delivery, because obviously you're not in the thick of things, you're not playing that ball. But then at the same time you're aware and you're keeping an eye on what the bowler is trying to do. It's just everyone has got their own ways of switching off and switching on. So to each his own, but yes, it's very important when you're out there in the middle to be able to do that, to concentrate for a long period of time.
OK, I'm going to switch on for this ball now. He's in and he bowls, and he's pushed that down to gully area. Now I'm going to switch off. I'm going to relax now. I'm going to take it easy until he bowls again. Is that what I should be doing? Switching off. But what do you think? How do you switch off?
Commentator, yes, it'll be a bit hard.
How do you switch off, though?
You just say, well bowled outside.
What do you mean by switching off? How do you switch off?
It's hard to explain, Kevin. But yes, you do have to switch off. Where you're not concentrating as hard as you are.
Okay, so right now I'm thinking about Durham last night and that trip that Churchy took us on, and now I'm back on it again because the ball's coming in. It's Hameed on 28 and play down towards gully area, and there'll be no run. It is one of the wonders. Unique, yeah. I think there are a few things which are unique to cricket, and I think that the concentration and the getting that right, and as you say, the switching on, the switching off. I think it probably does apply to cricket more, if not solely, than many other sports. And Hameed on 28 next. Ball is to be delivered here by Bumrah, and bowls and defensively pushed back up past Bumrah. And on the first day of the 100, that'll be one of the differences, because and also what some people would say is one of the reasons why they prefer the shorter form like the 100 over anything else, because you can't really switch off at all there, can you? You've got to be totally switched on, or not.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to. In a shorter format, it's harder to do that because you're always.
Got to be on it.
It's too quick.
Got to be on it.
Yeah.
And Hameed's on 28, And it's Bumrah bowls and ducks out of the way and through to the keeper. I mean, one of the things that has been said for years about T20, and one of the things 100 is now trying to claim, but actually it's a T20 thing, which is that every ball counts. Every ball counts in T20 and has done since certainly the second year. The first couple of years were a bit strange, in fairness, but when the players really got hold of it, every ball counts. Now the 100 are trying to claim that's the same thing. But anyway, so you know what people mean by that in the shorter form. However, in the longer form, every ball counts, because the bowler here surely is setting you up. It may be they're not trying to get you out with that ball, but they're setting you up. So every ball counts in every game, doesn't it? Next delivery, bowled and played away. Oh, is that aerial? It's going to be 4 through square leg. Let's have a look at that. Did that carry all the way out there to square leg? I think it did, and through the hands. The fielder there, under the wide brimmed hat. Anyway, it's 4 runs, and for Hameed, that was wild. That was wild and reckless from Hameed's point of view. 62 for 4 by his standards, anyway.
I mean, he did flick it from outside the off stump. Was a good shot, very risky, but yeah, a bit risky as well at the same time. So yeah, he's got to be a bit careful here, Hameed.
Next ball, he plays that along the ground this time, and therefore there will be no run, because the field is able to get to that quite quickly. That's Siraj who's doing the fielding out there. But yeah, I think that probably did go through his hands. Whether just in front of him, it's hard to tell from this angle. But anyway, it's the sort of thing you don't expect from Hameed. 62 for 4. Certainly not in the performance he's put on here so far. 111 deliveries, 32 not out. James has faced 7. They're 2 Nottinghamshire teammates. And news coming through from Nottinghamshire. These boys' their home counties, of course, because Haseeb Hameed was supposed to be with Mullaney getting a contract with the 100, the captain. It was Hameed who was going to captain Nottinghamshire in the Royal London One Day Cup, but now he's back in the Test squad. So they've turned to one of our all-time heroes in county cricket, Peter Trigo, to captain the team in the Royal London One Day Cup. That's who they've called upon. Now, he's, of course, trying to get to some heights with golf, isn't he, at the moment? Trying to qualify for the Open, my learned friend tells me. But yeah, so they've had to make 1 or 2 adjustments there at Trent Bridge. James is facing, and, well, very simple defensive shot back up to the bowler, who is Thakur, still continuing here. So yeah, all sorts of implications. They will have been notified. They won't have found out at 1 o'clock whilst listening to us, and then having to give Peter a call at 5 past saying that we've just heard on the radio. But I think there was a feeling there at Trent Bridge that they were certainly trying to hold it back, weren't they, a little bit? Give him as much time as possible, Haseeb Hameed. It's not to say they disagree with the decision now, but they were trying to give as much time as possible. James, a little bit of width on reaching for that one, needs to be careful, because just get a toe end on that, and it could be the end of him. 62 for 4, the score remains. So yeah, implications always about a Test squad, and as I say, I don't know how much of a shock or a surprise it was. I'm sure they've been in constant chat with Chris Silwood and other selectors, but it does mean they've had to turn to somebody else to captain the team, because they won't have him available now for the Royal London One Day Cup, which begins tomorrow. The competition does, at least. Next ball is bowled, and the score now is... He does, but he's asked me, Kevin Howells, to do the report for him. 62 for 4 is the score at the moment, and it's Haseeb Hameed who is celebrating his inclusion, of course, in that England Test squad with a 32 off 111 deliveries. We've just seen, by his standards, quite a wild shot out there through square leg, but he's otherwise just been concentrating so much against a terrific Indian attack, which at the moment is made up of Bumrah and Thakur. But this is hard work here, both for this county select 11, but also for India's bowlers. They're being made to work for their wickets, but they're bowling well. They made 311, India, winning the afternoon session on day 2, and the county 11 now at 62 for 4 with Hameed not out 32. And that next delivery is bowled and pushed back up to the bowler. Yeah, just always like to include you in everything that goes on behind the scenes. That was what we called an unexpected report. There for 5 Live, but I think I got away with it, just about. I was tempted, as I was introduced as Mark just to try and carry off an impersonation And I thought if I somehow I'm going to have to get Rory Burns into the report somehow, but I couldn't think of a way to do so. But anyway, we got away with it. So Thakur in bowls and a little bit of width and reaching for that one. Well, when those balls he's not getting his feet to it, he's just reaching, and you say he's just got to be a little bit careful. A little bit careful. Did you see me be physically panicked there? Because I thought, I don't know what the score is. I've got no details here. Dear oh dear. I sometimes wonder how we get by. But there we are. James is facing at the moment. He's yet to get off the mark. Ball bowled. Oh, and another one. Does he get a toe end on this? They think maybe he does. Well, I hope he's not going to get out that way, because he's had enough warning not to, hasn't he? He's reaching for those deliveries. It's 6 overs bowled by Thakur now. 2 maidens. That was a maiden over. So 6 overs, 3 maidens, 11 runs. Needs to be a little bit careful, because if I can see it from where I am that he's very nearly getting a toe end or just a little bit of a feather on the top edge, reaching for that, he should be mindful of it as well. 62 for 4.
You've got to be a bit careful with those sort of shots. He's played a few in this last over, and very lucky on both occasions that he didn't get any inside edge or a bottom edge. It's wide deliveries, very, very wide deliveries. And when you're 62 for 4, you've got to be a bit careful. When you've got a senior partner batting on the other end on 32 of 111 balls, it hasn't been easy. The bowling has been pretty good from the Indians so far, and all 4 fast bowlers have done a wonderful job here. They've bowled a very good line, very good length. They've hardly given anything easy for the batsman to score runs, and that's why, hence, Hameed on 32 of 111.
He is. And lapping it up at the moment. Lapping it up. Siraj into the attack again. Oh, we enjoy watching him bowl. He's full of everything, full of beans, full of life. Real battle every time he's out there. And he's bowling to Hameed, who straight away, this is what I like about Hameed. He doesn't do this very often, actually, but clearly first ball from Siraj, and he goes for a little bit of a walk, which sort of gives you an indication of, hey, up, got to focus here, got to refine myself, refigure somehow. As once again Siraj bowls, and not too much width, but played brilliantly actually by Hameed. I don't think there was too much width on that, but he still managed to cut it away for a couple. They'll come back for 3 actually, all the way out here to the right hand side, a long distance to cover, and there was nobody there in that area. So 3 for Hameed, moves to 35, and 65 for 4 is the score.
A lovely shot. As I mentioned earlier, there's 2 deliveries he's mostly waiting for. Either it's got to be a full, it's got to be a half volley where he can just drive it to the covers or mid-off, or he's waiting for a short delivery either to clip through his legs or just to punch it through the offside. He has a very clear game plan and he's executing it.
Siraj to James, and that's kept down well towards gully. But I have to say, at the moment, Lyndon James from his 14 deliveries is not filling me with a great deal of confidence. And credit to him, up against some blooming good bowling. But he's yet to find his feet here, and understandably.
You can tell that he's a bit fidgety. He's under a bit of pressure here, not getting anything out of the middle of the bat.
Next ball, well, that might feel a little bit better. But still a bit too. Actually, he does look at the toe end of that, up to mid-off. He's another one that looks overdressed. They must be very special, light wear, these boys. But it's the fact that they don't tuck them in either, which is very upsetting. But they're sort of hanging over their trousers here, and long sleeves. But I know there's special materials to keep you cool, aren't there? And that must be what it is. That's dump ball into the ground up towards mid-on. And no run.
Yeah, those are jumpers, but they're not like the authentic sweaters you used to have.
No.
But yeah, they keep you quite nice and warm. But I don't know why they need to be warm in this weather when it's warm already.
Well, this is the sort of thing that's troubling me at the moment. I do worry about these things. Next ball driven. Oh, that's a bit better again, but a good stop. Very good piece of fielding there. Is cover point.
Yeah, Axar Patel with a very good stop.
We don't need to see him stopping like that. We need to see him bowling. Never mind fielding.
We've hardly seen any spinners on at the moment. We've been itching to see spinners for a long time now. It's been a lot of overs. India has bowled quite a few overs, 33 overs, with only 1 over of spin from Jadeja before lunch. But since then, it's just been fast bowling from both ends. It's been some terrific fast bowling. I'm not complaining. There's still been quality from both ends, but still, I think it's high time now to see a bit of spin.
Okay. Well, I know that'll please our colleague, Mr. Church. Hameed on 35, 65 for 4. India made 311. But it's Thakur to continue here, and he's bowling again from the Finkel end. Bowls full. Quite a big stride. Into the offside, there will be no run. Hardly any cloud around now. It's turned into a lovely day. There was a little bit of clouding off the coast at the start of the day, but that is now burnt away, and there is a breeze blowing. But yesterday I tried to make out, and well, I generally felt that the breeze was perhaps just creating a little bit of coolness around, but my colleagues refused to believe me, any of that, and they said it remained piping hot. Probably does as well today, and it's like a fencer, that sort of leave, isn't it, from the bat, when he sort of goes down and almost like with a sword over the top of the ball, goes past the off stump.
Good line and good length from Shardul Thakur, but Hameed, he's been so patient today. He's hardly gone to play anything outside the off stump. He's been a very, very good judge of the off stump, and as you mentioned earlier, got a very good game plan going for himself.
So again, past the off stump. So how are you going to get him out then? Well, what are his weaknesses? Where you know, I think this game has been played, you know, with quite some intensity. But if this was in a test match, which it's easy to see at some point, you know, Thakur in bowling here to Haseeb and Mead. What are you looking for?
I think they're doing the right job, to be honest. They're bowling a very good line, very good length, just outside the off stump, bowling that hard length. At some point in time, he will try and play one of those. It's just a patient game at the moment from both sides.
Bowls again, driven, and finds a gap there on the offside. Lovely flourish drive there, and it's got so much pace on it that can't be cut off before he goes over the boundary rope. 4 runs to Hameed. He moves to 39.
And that's why his judgment has been perfect. That was a touch fuller, a half volley. He just leant onto his front foot, driven it beautifully through covers for another boundary. And that's why this innings is such a special innings from him. There was a hint of movement, the ball was swinging, but because of the length, he was able to put it through that cover boundary. Lovely batting.
And a joy to see him back, it really is. He's on 39 not out. Oh, this bottom edge down into the ground there off the toe end of the bat. Just those little moments just make you realise that, you know, there's still that jeopardy out there, most definitely. 69 for 4. And Thakur, who's not, as I say, he's not a tall lad, is he? Quite stocky, very strong looking, but it's not height that's his advantage.
It's not very, very tall, but yeah, as you mentioned, very stocky, very strong. Bowls long spells as well.
Turns again. Runs away from us to the left-hand side as we look out from our commentary position, but runs away from us down the leg side, and that looked a little tired. Perhaps they'll might come and change, who knows. But 7 overs now gone, and the first class 11 are 69 for 4 in reply to India's 311. Now Mark Church sits alongside me, and we say a bit of a break to sanitize our hands to keep everything cleaner, and a reminder that we're still in these COVID times, pandemic. I know there's still, you know, some concern, and understandably so. How can there not be of the summer? And just hoping that COVID doesn't strike in any way upon the game, whether it be for the test team, whether it be for the 100, whether it be for the Royal London One Day Cup. But clearly the country moving into some quite testing times now over the next few weeks, especially with the isolation rules. 69 for 4. Hameed on 39. James 17 balls he's faced without getting off the mark, and he's been a little bit fortunate. He's taking his time to settle in. Siraj 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 10. Thakur 7 overs, 3 maidens, no wicket for 15. That's the current bowling pair.
I'm gonna have a guess here that we're gonna see spin in 7 overs time, because they've been giving the quick men 5 over bursts, 5 before lunch, 5 after lunch. So although as I say that, they're having a drinks break, India, and they're bringing pads and helmets out, so they may be bringing spin into the attack now.
They were going to do what you thought they were going to do, but now because this break has come as this time, Chichi, they're going to do it now.
I'm watching Axar Patel as well. I thought he was doing some stretching exercises, but he's sort of just pushing Bumrah around at the moment. But no, Haseeb Hameed, this is a wonderful knock so far, it really is. And that there was that little late cut down to third man, and then that extra cover drive as well. So he's played very well here for these 39 runs from 119 balls. And again, what you would say is that even though they're going at 2 runs and over the county 11 at the moment, they're making this very hard for India, and it's exactly the sort of run out that the Indian management would have wanted, really, for their bowlers today.
This is Jadeja, who's been through his paces, so to speak, with a bit of massage. He's had work on his shoulders, his back, now the top of his legs.
Just watching it on the Durham live stream as well. He's having a proper old massage out there now, laid down, and they're getting the Jadeja. Seems to be on his left leg, and the physio there is doing all sorts of sort of rubbing exercises. So
but getting him ready.
Yeah, absolutely, to have a bit of a bowl. I'm not sure he'll be allowed to do that in a test match, sort of call out for the physio and have a massage. But yeah, we are going to see spin into the attack, so this is exciting. It's not Axar Patel, it's Jadeja. When Axar comes on, I'm then going to get overexcited again. I can't wait.
You need to be careful at your age, all this overexcitement.
Well, yeah, I've absolutely adored these couple of days, I have to say. And with the weather as well, it's been perfect, absolutely perfect. And it's a terrific game, this.
Spin of Jadeja in bowls and push back up to the bowler. It's his second over. He had a little go before lunch, and he conceded 2 runs. And again, bowls. He's bowling from the far end, the Lumley end. Ooh, gets up a little bit there.
Yeah, bounce. Bit of bounce for Jadeja. We saw Patterson-White get one to absolutely explode on Bumrah this morning, didn't we? It really leapt up and hit the gloves.
Jadeja. Oh, he's trying to use his feet here now, and then uses his feet so well that he then has to scamper back into his ground as he's looking at where the ball's gone. Doesn't get it past the fielder on the onside. Lyndon James still on naught. Jadeja bowls defensively. He's played 2 or 3 of those solid looking defensive shots, but he's never really given the impression of being settled as yet. And this, world-class bowlers he's facing here. Defensive, again, I don't mind that.
Well, yeah, the Notts pair out there together at the moment. So I think James's job here is just to keep me company for a while.
Jadeja bowls. Kept that down behind square on the onside at the end of that over, so no major upsets or drama. But it was a maiden, and 2 overs, 1 maiden, 2 runs now for the spinner. Jadeja and the first class cricket 11, the county select 11, whatever you want to call it, in the first innings to reply to India's 311, are on 69 for 4. But the story is Hameed from the county 11 point of view, for the fact he's been named by England as well in that test squad.
Very interesting, that test squad. As I say, very interesting. Johnny Bairstow's in there. And yeah, I'm seeing some people on Twitter sort of indicating he's just going to carry the drinks. That might not be the case.
Next ball bowled and pushed into the offside. There'll be no run. Well, the Welsh Fire will not be happy.
No.
Is it Gary Kirsten?
He let that slip yesterday, didn't he?
What about Johnny?
Yeah, well, I think he sort of indicated that he's being considered a Test player now.
Oh, this was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. So I think everybody had a fair idea that Johnny Bairstow might be in that England Test squad.
So the Welsh Fire get him for 2 games only.
Yeah. They were also meant to have Ollie Pope as well.
And they're not going to get him. Well, is he fit to play at the moment? No, he isn't, is he? No. Short pitch delivery this time from Thakur, who continues to bowl. And Hameed ducks out of the way of that one.
Washington Sundar's off for a net. He got a really good ball from Siraj today, early on, so he's wandered off to have a net away to our right-hand side, taking a tennis racket as well.
Hameed, 39 not out. It's a glorious, beautiful, sunny afternoon for watching cricket, and hopefully you're enjoying watching on the stream or listening to us on 5 Live Sports Extra today, whatever your doings are today. And full delivery and well played by Hameed. You know, the thrill of this is the battle between bowler and batter. It's not the ball racing left, right and centre across the ground. It's just the battle of the minds, of the skills, and the story of a fella who seemingly had it all so early, so quickly. Then injury, and then that injury just couldn't find his feet again there with Lancashire. Moves on to Nottinghamshire, and it's seemingly all good again. Worked away through mid-wicket. That's a glorious piece of batting, that from Hameed. He'll get at least a couple of runs, maybe even 3, because he's run very deep. He should get a 3, and he does get 3 runs. Moves on to 42. I wonder if Peter Moores, you know, people talk of Peter Moores as a coach.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not to the detriment of anybody there with Lancashire. Sometimes somebody does need a new, fresh start, of course, but you go get that new, fresh start with a new county like Nottinghamshire, and you've got Peter Moores there to work with as well.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful coach, Peter Moores. I think sort of that one-on-one role, Peter Moores is right up there, but no, he just has played beautifully here, Hameed, and I think it's that again, go back to what Kevin James said, it's the shots he hasn't played, actually. It's the balls he's let go.
Shorter pitch ball. Ooh, it's got bat on that. A diving attempt from the keeper, Rahul. This is Lyndon James we're talking about as the batter. Has that run all the way for 4? Yes. So let's have a look at that attempt again, if we can, on the replay by the keeper. It went down the leg side. He'd been very unlucky, and he would have been a wonderful catch by the keeper had he have grabbed hold of it. I just wonder how. I think he got glove on it.
Yeah, I think it was Thakur. He's got this change up, quick bouncer, and that really did rush Lyndon James, and I think probably glove as much as anything. And KR Rahul dived away to his left, but it means that Lyndon James is off the mark with a boundary.
76 for 4. Next ball, fairly low past the offside. We're seeing more of it. I mean, that wasn't the lowest, but the variable bounce is becoming more apparent.
Well, when you were describing Hameed there, sort of had it all, and then sort of it went badly wrong, and now back again. You also reminded me of Rick Astley.
Yeah,
he had it all. Then he did. Sort of dropped off a bit, and now he's back again, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, he's very popular these days.
I went through those names. I didn't see. Did he come after? Oh, he came before Johnny Bairstow, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's in that squad.
They did it alphabetically.
He's in that squad as well.
Well, that's the name they missed out on.
Absolutely.
On the BBC's, but Rick Astley is in the England squad.
Indeed. But no, it's much the same, really. Obviously, Hameed a lot younger. Rick had it all, didn't he, at the start of his career, and then slightly fell out of fashion. Now back in fashion.
His one song never fell out of fashion.
Well, no.
Anyway, Hameed's on 42. Next ball bowled, and that again is pushed onto the onside. There'll be no run. I'd like to think that our viewers, they're in India.
Yes.
Know exactly. No. I imagine that they know exactly who we're talking about. Rick Astley.
Never going to give you up.
That's the one to look up online. And
appropriate, really, for Hameed, isn't it?
Very much. Push square on the offside, there'll be no run. Be nice to think now that for the viewers in India and for Rick, that he's getting some new extra fans, maybe.
Yeah.
Jadeja bowls and into the ground, and jumping stop there. Short extra cover.
This is interesting now as well, that Hameed's got spin to play against. He's played beautifully against the quicker men. Bit of spin now to face.
Jadeja bowls, plays back, and we're here. Who's an arse from you there, Mark?
Yeah, well, he's played that very late. Jadeja's, he's played that off the back foot. He played it. It's good length delivery. It shows he's in. Good length delivery. Just stayed on the back foot and ran it down towards backward point.
Next ball, turned down into the ground and up onto the pads of the man at forward short leg.
Well, our dear friend Mr. Dave Bracegirdle is watching, I think, at the moment. I saw on Twitter. He'll be delighted with this from Hameed.
Well, he's here tomorrow.
He is indeed, yes.
Driven, hard and firm. And a very good quick stop from Vihari. He's feeling there in the covers. At the end of that over, Hameed on 42, James on 4. Maiden over for Ravi Jadeja, and it's 3 overs, 2 maidens, 2 runs he's conceded.
Yep, and again, Hameed looking to be positive there against the spinner. Little late dab down towards backward point, then the drive off the final ball of the over. But no, it within 10 deliveries really of his innings, you sort of, Abhishek said it, everything was in the right place. Letting the ball go, defensively looked very, very solid, and he's carried it on. And as I say, it's proper innings this against a proper attack from Hameed. Very impressive, really is. And it does an old bloke like me good to see this sort of thing from Hameed.
James facing, to all the James. Oh, short pitch ball which flies past the helmet of Lyndon James.
He's not best pleased with Lyndon James here, Mr. Thakur, I don't think. Just wandered down there after he bounced him and gloved it down towards fine leg. A couple of words, I think. Nothing wrong with that. But in the previous over there was that short ball which sort of gloved it as he went to hook, and it flew off down to fine leg. Where is Axar Patel? Is he getting warmed up yet? And he's out there at cover point, I think. Not yet.
It's the beauty of being on the ground at the moment that we are. You can actually shout out to the window, say, get him on. James on 4, not out. Onto the onside, no run.
Well, I didn't get to see much of him back yesterday. All I've really seen is Axar Patel out at cover point so far.
But Vasanth Narain sent me a message on the old Twitter. He says, hi, I'm a viewer.
Excellent. Hi. Hello.
Can India play Siraj and Shardul instead of Shami and Sharma? Because I feel both are complementing well. Sharma is injury prone. He wants the views. Well, I tell you, I'm not going to give my views. You can give your views, if that's okay. It's worked well to the onside, and there should be no run. Abhishek maybe might want to come on, and might want to totally ignore it or not. But anyway, what I do want to say is to Vasanth, thank you for getting in touch.
Absolutely.
Nice to hear from you.
Very nice indeed. Thakur.
I'll share my video of John Lewis watching Virat Kohli bat in the nets with you.
That'll go viral. Well, you've got the exclusive footage of that. Nobody else was filming John Lewis.
Everybody else was busy filming Virat Kohli. I was filming John Lewis watching Virat Kohli. James. Comes back in at him from Thakur.
You see, Thakur for me is ideal in English conditions. Absolutely ideal. Even if the sun comes out, for me, he's ideal. What they're going to go with, India will go with. But this is a guy who can run in, hit line, hit length, keep it tight from one end and move it around. Got a quick bouncer as well. And I think he's bowled really nicely here. 8 overs, 3 maidens, none for 22 thus far.
James is 4 not out. Next ball bowled, and again past the off stump. Just seen Nick Webb. passing on information. This is. I wonder how often this is going to take place over the next few weeks. Glamorgan all-rounder Dan Dathwaite has got a late call to join the Manchester Originals in the 100. And Nick says best wishes to all the Glamorgan players involved for individual success.
Well, Dan Dathwaite, that's an amazing story, really, in the fact that he was at Surrey, couldn't get a contract, went to Cardiff University, got runs and wickets again in the pre-season against Glamorgan.
James punches this one into the offside. Jadeja does the fielding.
A couple of years ago this now, got a contract at Glamorgan, and now he's playing in the 100, so well done to him. But another maiden over from Thakur. Just Thakur gives you, not that the others don't, but he just, as a captain, you know what you're going to get from him. And I think he's bowled really well today. They all have, but sort of just in England, he's different, isn't he? Sort of stocky, bustly type bowler for India. But it's going to be fascinating to see both 11s for that opening test at Trent Bridge.
Jadeja bowling his 4th over, punched again, beautiful through extra cover, lovely shot. This from Lyndon James. Maybe he'll start to find his feet here now. Just pulled inside the rope. Good chase to the boundary rope, and he'll get 2 runs. He moves on to 6, and the score up to 78 for 4. Is that board?
Yeah, it's gone a bit flat. It was Hameed actually, I think, playing this shot, and he's picked up 3. So the board sort of stopped. I think Hameed's on 45 now.
Next delivery. Pushed into the offside. It's not showing any difference on the streaming service, is it?
I'm sure I didn't imagine that. If I did, it was a lovely shot in my imagination for 3 runs.
Punch straight at short extra cover.
That is a worry for me now. If I'm actually genuinely in between overs imagining Hameed playing
But no,
shots,
it's not ticking over. The ball's not ticking over.
Have I genuinely just imagined him driving that ball for 3?
It's hard to say, but that is Lyndon James definitely batting now.
Now, but I'm sure have I just imagined? If I have, I'm leaving. That is a real concern. If I'm actually imagining shots now.
It's because of all the heat. The sun, it's had a detrimental effect on us all, including the board. And then James back to Jadeja. I think it might have actually stopped a couple of overs ago, because I was looking up there thinking I'm going to go with it. I'm going to trust it, but
I'm genuinely concerned I have made that up in my own mind.
Don't you worry. Give me a good rub down in the corner of the room later. Next ball is driven by James. Oh, he'll have to be quick. There was a right arm shy at the stumps. Oh, now there's a bit of catching up going on. So that previous over was the 9th over for Thakur, and there was the 4th maiden. And there we are now. We're bang up to date now.
Thank goodness I didn't imagine those 3 runs from Hameed.
81 for 4 is the score. Just a temporary blip all round. Next ball is who's an arse. It's coming off the edge, but it could run all. No, it's not going to run all the way to the boundary. Sort of 3/4 of the way to our right-hand side. And 2 runs. And here's your man down here fielding when he should be out in the middle. Axar doing his bowling. Who are these 2 gentlemen down here? Can you give them a shout and get a message out there?
The window.
83 for 4.
I tell you what though, Hameed's played Jadeja pretty well since he's come into the attack. He's a couple of late cuts, drive through the covers, little late dab again. So he's answered that question straight away from Jadeja. But I think we'll see Thakur get 1 more, because as I say, it was in those 5 over. No! As I say that, Siraj is coming on.
Oh.
Which I'm looking forward to, because he bowled beautifully this morning. Plus he's at the Finkel end, which is even more exciting.
So they gave him a bit of a go at the top end again, didn't they, after lunch, and then back on here. Anyway.
I'm really worried, because I'm leaving tonight. I'm surely going to see Axar Patel have a bowl today. One of the things I was most excited about. And I'm not here tomorrow. The great Dave Bracegirdle is coming here tomorrow. I'm off to Scarborough for the Royal London One Day Cup game between Yorkshire and Surrey. But Siraj into the attack. 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 10 in his first spell from the Lumley end. Now into the attack from the Finkel end, and immediately he's going past Lyndon James's outside edge with a good line and a good length. Abhishek, welcome back.
Thanks, Churchy. Immediately looks very, very dangerous here, Shiraz. And he's got the knack to always pick up wickets, always look threatening, and exactly that's what he's doing again. And it's good to see him from the other end now, because we get a better look, a closer look of what exactly he's up to. We can see the ball movements a bit better as well.
Then James waits, right-handed, bat raised as Siraj is over the wicket to him, and he's forward outside edge driving. That'll fly away down to the third man boundary rope for 4 runs. So not exactly where he intended, Lyndon James, but it's 4 more to him. He moves on to 9, and the first-class counties select 11. Bit of a mouthful, that. Move on to 87 for 4.
A bit loose from Lyndon James. Again, throwing his bat around. Very lucky, very streaky, but lucky that the ball just rolled between that gully and the second slip region for another boundary. But very good start for Siraj.
Yep.
Lovely length, lovely line.
Absolutely. Again, no sighters, just straight away on line and length. Siraj, as he's in once more over the wicket, and this one's left alone by Lyndon James outside his off stump, and down at the non-striker's end. I see Hameed just lent on his bat, 47 not out from 131 deliveries out of 87 for 4. So it's been a terrific innings, over half the runs for his side so far. Terrific innings on the day he's been announced back in he was in the test squad for New Zealand, and sort of went into the test squad, but announced in the original one here. He's doing himself no harm whatsoever at the moment, is he? As waiting again is Lyndon James, as over the wicket once more comes Siraj, and left alone outside his off stump once again by Lyndon James, and taken by Rahul behind the stumps. But again, lovely length from Siraj.
Yeah, very good leave as well from James. Sometimes you can get things wrong outside the off stump when the bowler is bowling that perfect line in length, and if the ball nips back ever so slightly, you can get into trouble. But at the moment, last couple of deliveries, he's managed to leave it on the length very nicely here, James.
He has indeed. He waits 9 off 40 deliveries as Siraj is into him, and he's letting this one go that's just coming back from Siraj. Lyndon James will just check where his off stump is. Nicely bowled again. Okay, Rahul's not taking that cleanly actually, and he's just ringing his right hand. I think it just dipped on him at the last moment before it got to him, and those always sting, don't they?
Yeah, when you leave those balls, when you leave them, if it comes off, it looks lovely that, yeah, you're judging the length and the line of the delivery pretty well. But in case if it comes in ever so slightly more than what you anticipate, you could be in all sorts of trouble, and that could look very, very foolish if that happens.
Absolutely.
So he's got to be very careful. If it's too close, he's better off playing at it.
Siraj is in, and forward comes Lyndon James, taking this off the stumps and into the leg side. And he won't get a run. That bat just turned in his hand at the last moment as it potters out towards square leg. End of the over, 87 for 4 then. The Select County 11 here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra and the Durham live stream. Just a reminder that India were all out for 311 this morning. Craig Miles with his 4th wicket, bowling Bumrah in spectacular fashion for 5. Miles finishing with 4 for 45, and then the 4 wickets to go so far for the County 11. Libby bowled by Yadav for 12. Yates caught behind off Bumrah for 1. Washington Sundar got a horrible delivery from Siraj that just got big on him. I'm not sure what he could have done. It looped to shoot the captain. Sharma in the slips, and then Rhodes bowled by Yadav for 11. Hameed here on 47 though, as Jadeja comes round the wicket to him, and Hameed, lovely little late cut again. Just waits for this to come to him, bounce, and then just opens the face, guides it down towards third man. And what's been impressive here from Hameed, Abhishek, as he moves on to 49, Jadeja's into the attack, and his score has just started ticking round, hasn't it?
It just shows that he's a good player of spin, and what he's doing well here, that he's not planting his front foot too early. He's waiting for the ball, he's judging the length well, and obviously Jadeja has not got his line and length right so far.
It's forward. Hameed on 49 pushes this one down into the leg side, and there's no run. But he's got fully forward there. And again, it's that pure commitment to that defensive shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what you got to do against spinners. You can't really be in half-hearted. You can't be in two minds. Again, a very good ball on the stumps. Again, leaning forward, playing it just under his eyes. Big step forward again. And that's what you need as a player. Either you go back or you come forward.
Decisive at the moment. Hameed, there's his 50, and he brings it up with another little late cut down towards third man. Very well batted. Haseeb Hameed moves on to 51 from 135 deliveries. What were we worrying about? He's writing his own script at the moment and just signals back to the dressing room. But lovely innings. 51 from 135 balls with 4 fours. And Avesh, he looks in very good nick.
Yeah, very calm and very composed. And as we have said all day, he looks in control.
He waits again, pushes off the back foot, quicker ball from Jadeja, and there is no run.
Yeah, that's the pace he likes to bowl, Jadeja. He's not a fan of bowling it slowly, so if there is no assistance of the pitch or there is a good batting surface, he struggles a little bit.
Jadeja's in again. Forward goes Hameed and plays this one out into the offside, end of the over. But yeah, no, this will do him the power of good as well, Hameed. And the thing is, he's come into this in form. We were sort of going through his numbers this season. I can't remember him playing and missing, actually, or playing a full shot. One where he went to play a late cut and almost dragged it back onto his stumps. But other than that, hasn't played a full shot, I don't think.
Yeah, his concentration has been perfect so far in this innings. He's played a lot of balls, 137 deliveries for his 51, but the team needed it because he was losing wickets from the other end. The bowling has been pretty good from the Indians so far. They've been relentless with their line and length. They've hardly given any opportunity of scoring to the batsman. So if you combine all of it together, it's been a very, very good innings from Haseeb Hameed at the moment.
Has indeed, and we said before he came out he would have known he was in that squad, but before he came out this one, don't put too much pressure on yourself, just go out there and play, and that is exactly what he's done here. He's just gone out there and played, and you know, you look at the score, 91 for 4, and he's got 51 of them. Just shows what a good innings this is against this attack as well. So yeah, very, very good from Hameed. He's certainly putting his name forward without a shadow of a doubt. Siraj it will be to continue from the Finkel end. Lyndon James will be the man on strike. Gorgeous afternoon. Lumley Castle. When the sky is blue, it almost looks three-dimensional. As in over the wicket comes Siraj, and looking to whip leg side here is Lyndon James. Thick inside edge onto his back thigh, rolls away into the offside. There's Axar Patel doing the fielding, and there's no run. But with the blue sky, we look to our right, there's Lumley Castle. There's some very nice trees in front of it, but it's almost like a 3D effect. It's almost as if it's sort of coming towards us. Lumley Castle. I don't know, I should know more history about Lumley Castle. All I really know is food's excellent there, and there's a lovely golf course.
And
that's about it.
And Shane Watson saw
Shane Watson saw. He was the only person to ever see a ghost.
So the three things Lumley, you know about Lumley Castle.
At Lumley Castle. I don't think anyone else has ever seen the ghost. As over the wicket once again, Siraj, and this is tucked away by Lyndon James through the leg side, nicely timed. He'll pick up 2. So Lyndon James moves on to 11, 93 for 4. Well, do you know, today is the anniversary of the opening test in that 2005 Ashes series. But the build-up to that series as well had everything. That first ever T20 International, which John Lewis was playing in. Then the one-day series with Shane Watson and his ghost. And then that remarkable test series. But I can't believe that's 16 years ago now, Abhishek. You were definitely born for the 2005.
For that.
Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't remember 81 as in over the wicket, short ball, and looking to whip this one leg side. It's Lyndon James.
That's the year I made my first class debut.
Yeah, 61. We were looking at that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2005. Yeah, it's been a while. Time flies, Churchy. Time flies pretty quick.
It does.
I had my daughter 6 years back, and it's just the 6 years flew by. It just seems like it was yesterday.
I know. My little one's getting older it tends to be the way it works. You do get older every day, but she, every time I see her, she's grown up a bit more. As over the wicket once again comes Siraj, forward goes Lyndon James, plays this one up towards mid-off, and there is no run. But yeah, anybody who's not aware, we sort of mentioned it yesterday, Shane Watson, Australia in 2005 was staying in Lumley Castle. And Shane Watson had to move rooms because he saw a ghost, he said. Anyway, he came out to bat against Darren Gough, and Darren Gough ran in first ball bouncer and then just ran up to him and went woo in front of him with his hands like a ghost. And everybody remembers that. 93 for 4. But yeah, just the build up to that Ashes series had everything. Collingwood and Hayden going head to head. Over the wicket once again comes Siraj, and this one's left alone outside. He's off stump once more. And then that first morning at Lords of that series, wow, the first ball where Harmison hit Langer, and Langer tried to rub it off, but Smarler hit him on the forearm, sort of grinned, walked towards square leg, and then realised I've got a problem here. Then Ponting, remember Ponting getting hit by Harmison, and then that cut. You can still see the scar of that on Ponting these days as well, but he wasn't going anywhere. He had everything. That first morning was electric. As in again comes Siraj, forward once more goes Lyndon James. KP dropped a catch. He dropped a few in that series, of course. That was his debut series. And then when he did come out to bat, of course, 50 in both innings, including bringing up his first Test 50. I think it was the first innings where he just stuck Glenn McGrath straight back over his head into the pavilion for 6. But the build up to that series as well, Abhishek, was amazing. 93 for 4. I do remember Hayden, Simon Jones ran in a one day, I think it was, and he let one go to Hayden, which I think it wasn't a beamer, but I think it hit Hayden. Hayden walked down the pitch towards him, at which point Collingwood came in from backward point. Strauss came in from extra cover and just stood in front of Hayden. And Hayden said since that at that point he thought, hang on, this isn't what England normally do. We might have a game on our hands here. As forward comes Hameed to Jadeja, start of his 6th over, and pushes this one away out into the offside, and there's no run as Jadeja in again, and this is turned leg side by Hameed down towards Siraj, who comes up to do the fielding. Glenn McGrath bowled beautifully at Lords, because Australia won that test quite easily in the end, because England got knocked over twice for not very much. As waiting again is Jadeja, and now Hameed has gone up and over the top of mid-off and away for 4. Very good shot from Hameed, deliberately played, just again big stride, not coming down the pitch and using his feet, just a big stride, and then driving up and over the top of mid-off and away for 4. On to 55 he goes, and
that's a great shot. I mean, they often say if you can hit the spinner from the crease, then it's hard times for the spinners, because then they don't know what to do. But the answer to it, when you're stepping out, you always give the spinner a chance of getting stumped or even mistiming it. But if you can hit the ball from the crease, that's a lovely shot from Hameed, and just picking the right length. The ball was slightly outside the off stump, went with the spin.
There's a real shot of authority there. Oh, now he's looked for a late cut to a quicker one, and Jadeja thought he got a little bit of something on that, and that's nicely taken by Rahul behind the stumps. But just again, that late cut, quicker from Jadeja, who I think he went up for the shot as much as anything there. Jadeja, he's in again, and Hameed waits for this one on the back foot and just nudges leg side, will pick up a single. One more to Hameed, he moves on to 56, 98 for 4. But I think that was one of those appeals, Abhishek, where you're appealing as a bowler because of the shot as much as anything.
It was too close to cut. He just misjudged the length and the line both on that occasion, but very lucky not to get a tickle. But yeah, Jadeja as a bowler, you always go up for all those, just take a chance with the umpire.
He's in again. Lyndon James, couple of paces down the pitch here, and then just pushes this ball straight back up the pitch. And there's no run. End of the over, 98 for 4. Then the County Select 11 here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra and on the Durham live stream. Still waiting for Axar Patel to have a bowl. You can see some of the Indian players sat in the dugout down there to our left. Still members of the families here as well having a watch. Still the ground staff sat away to our right. Got the entire stand to themselves. There's a long chat here between Rohit Sharma and Siraj with Haseeb Hameed on strike. So, well, they'll be delighted to get the wide brim sun hats out, I would have thought.
I think it may be a good idea to just bowl with the 5-4 field, get a short mid-wicket, try and get a catching mid-wicket, try and ask the bowler to bowl on the stumps. They've tried bowling outside the off-stump, they've tried trying to get the nick towards the slip region or gully. Hasn't worked. Hameed has left the ball outside the off-stump very well. Maybe time to change some tactics here. Try and get a forward short leg, not forward short leg, a short mid-wicket catching, and then try and come onto the stumps, bowl wicket to wicket, and see what Hameed does.
They've also managed to get the ball changed here, India. So could be a long old delay this, because umpire Pollard, nobody's bringing the box of balls to him. So he's wandering off towards the pavilion, and I think he's probably left a box of balls by the boundary rope. But this will be interesting now. 43 overs with this ball. Jadeja probably around about 45 minutes ago started showing it to the umpires, saying it had gone out of shape. And now the umpires are going down to, they've got a couple of suitcases of balls here. So they've got 2 suitcases of balls where they'll go in and try and find a ball that looks about 43 overs old. So now both umpires staring down at the suitcase of balls down there, and they're going to have a discussion about which one looks 43 overs old. They look like a couple of those sort of when you're sifting for gold on the live stream at the moment as we're watching them just going through the balls. Nice little bag for the balls as well. Proper suitcase type bag. Some have a sort of aluminium suitcase, as if they're spies or something. But this one seems to be a fabric made suitcase with sort of ball sections. So now they're making sure the ball goes through the hoop. Right, so cricket's threatening to start again in a moment after that. 98 for 4, so India will have a change ball to go with, and I suppose they'll be hoping, Avesh, that it does a little bit, because sometimes you do see that, don't you? You go and change the ball, and all of a sudden this it's not a new ball, it's a change ball, but that starts going where the other one wouldn't swing. Yeah,
we often see that in cricket, that when there's a change of ball, there's a change of fortune as well. Could be for both sides. The batters might be able to get a few more runs, or the bowling team might pick up a wicket or two. But yeah, it always does something after you get a ball changed. But again, going back to the field position and going back to the plan against Hameed, they've tried to bowl outside the off stump, try and get him nicked off, but he's managed to play those balls very well. Anything on the stumps, he's managed to kept it away with a big stride forward, or he's gone right back onto his stumps. So, I mean, there might be an opportunity. Now, we're talking about a field change to get a short mid-wicket. I just mentioned that it'll be a good idea to get a short mid-wicket and try and bowl on the stumps. And probably that's what they're trying to do here. We see Rohit Sharma coming and standing in a catching position around that short mid-wicket region. And Siraj probably is going to now try and bowl on the stumps and try and hit the pads or the stumps.
Well, this is what Lyndon James did yesterday for the County 11. With this sort of field, as over the wicket comes Siraj, and that's hitting the pads of Haseeb Hameed as he looks to turn leg side. Probably had the sound of the thud going into his pad. Leg by the signal, one more to the total. Yeah, Siraj is going to go. He described it very nicely yesterday Abhishek, you miss, I hit. Go wicket to wicket. You miss it, I'm going to hit your stumps. That's what Shiraj is wanting here. And a long chat with his captain as well about what this tactic was going to be.
And also what it gives is a bowler another opportunity to double bluff the batsman. Just throw one wide outside the off stump when you're looking... when you're so focused on stopping everything on the middle stump, sometimes you throw your bat outside off stump.
Forward again. Goes Lyndon James to a good length ball. Just a reminder that tea at 3:40, no matter what. Today, yes, Mr. Howes, thumbs up to me. So 3:40 tea today. So we were spot on yesterday with our overs, weren't we? We sort of 90 overs at 6 o'clock exactly. So whether we're going to be able to do that again today, I don't know, because we had a lot of spin yesterday, of course, with Patterson-White and Carson bowling in tandem. So we might be a bit later tonight, I think, than 6. As Siraj is in again. Oh, and Lyndon James drives, and it's flown in between first slip and keeper. Now, first slip is quite wide, sort of covering off second slip and first slip, but that is not going to please Shiraj at all, because that has flown between the keeper and the slip, in the gap between the two of them, and has whistled off down to the boundary. I think it's Pujara in there in this sort of... He's sort of at 1.5 slips, and Rahul, and it's gone straight between them, and 103 for 4.
I mean, when you're bowling on the stumps and the odd balls you're looking to just bowl out just outside the off stump, you'd rather have your slip close to the keeper, maybe the first slip, rather than having it between first and second. And probably if he would have been on the first slip, it would have been right on in his hands. And again, but still, he's standing a bit wide. Probably the bowler having a little chat with Rohit. But still, the field doesn't change. It was a wonderful delivery, and the batsman going for that big hooping drive. Gets an outside edge.
In again, Siraj, and this is a nice looking shot from Lyndon James. Just jumps and then whips it down towards long leg. He'll pick up a couple here, but that's never great for the bowler, is it? When the keeper and the slip look at each other and it goes straight between the two of them. So... yeah, big moment that for Lyndon James. As he played that shot and nicked it, he'd have thought, oh no. And then all of a sudden you sort of turn around and see the ball shooting off down to the boundary rope for 4. Need a bit of luck in this game. 105 for 4. Interestingly though, Shiraj making something happen. Now the ball's changed as well, finding the edge with this changed ball. So whether he is finding a bit of shape with this one, as over the wicket he comes once again, and James lets this one go outside his off stump. Again, KL Rahul's taking that very low down to his left hand side. I think he is just getting a little bit of shape with this one. Is Siraj?
Yeah, there's hint of swing through the air. There's a bit of movement of the pitch as well.
I'll leave you at the end of this over, Abhishek. Mr. Kevin Howes is above my left shoulder at the moment, hovering to jump back in. Lyndon James on 17, Hameed on 56 as James waits, and Siraj is into him, and he's forward to a good length ball, pushes this one out towards extra cover, and there is no run. End of the over. Good partnership this between Messrs Hameed and James. Came together at 56 for 4. So Abhishek, 49 run partnership, and again for India, perfect work out this. They're making life very, very tough for them.
Yeah, they're going to get into a situation when they play the test match against England where there will be partnerships, and what you can't do as a bowling unit is get frustrated. You've got to be patient and just work on your plans, just execute your plans. The wickets will come as long as you can remain patient out there. And at the moment India is trying to be patient, but these two are doing a job and a half for the county 11. 49 run partnership after losing 4 early wickets.
Jadeja bowls and Ahmed pushes into the offside. It was the afternoon session yesterday where it all settled down batting wise, but I mean it was more settled than this is. I mean this is still an intriguing contest where you might imagine a wicket could fall any time. It wasn't necessarily the case at all points yesterday, despite some very fine bowling, some really good bowling from the county 11. But here at the moment, it's Hameed who really is the story for his 56 not out. And again, very solid in defence, front foot planted there into the offside. Look, India knew and know all about Hameed anyway. They were perhaps not following the story quite as closely as we have in the last couple of years, but they'll know about him again now. It's driven into the ground and stopped there in the covers by Vihari. So you've got a slip. You've got two catching positions there in the covers, really. One a little bit deeper, but short extra cover, and that's on the leg stump, just turned onto the onside. And then sort of cover point. You've got a deepish gully here. You've got mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. So the field trying to be as inventive with the field placing as they can as well, trying to get rid of Hameed at the moment, and that's turned around to one of those fielders very well positioned. And Hameed looks frustrated there. He was hoping to get it just to the left-hand side of short fine leg, but doesn't do so. It's 3 maidens so far for the spin of Jadeja from his 7 overs, 18 runs conceded. And Hameed is the story because he's in the England squad, but Lyndon James had a good day yesterday with the ball. He's having a good season, a bit of a breakthrough year for him with Nottinghamshire. And although he's tentative at the beginning, little uncertain, those are 54 balls he's faced now for his 17. And he's learning. You're always learning, and he certainly is doing that out there at the moment and putting up a good show.
Oh yes, absolutely. You're always learning in this game. There's never end to that. Even if you played 50 odd tests, you played 100 tests, you're always learning. There's always new things which you find out about the game.
Siraj, 9 overs. He's bowled. This is his 10th, and that's past the off stump. And I don't know, that just by me, I just felt myself saying the word Siraj as almost with a bit of menace, because that's the way he goes about his cricket, really. However, that was probably the least menacing delivery he's bowled all match. Quite soft and past the off stump. But look, just the way he pounds back to his mark as well. This isn't. It's a bit more than a warm-up match, this, but it is. It's a warm-up game within a tour, but they're not playing it that way, and certainly I wouldn't want to say that to Siraj. He's got his battle mind on here. And at the moment he wants to get rid of Lyndon James, who's on 17 not out. Balls from the Finkel end, just back of a length into the offside. And I don't know how many times the County 11 batters have looked at the toe end of their bat throughout the day today, but James has done just that. 105 for 4. There really is hardly a cloud to be seen now. Absolutely beautiful. And
Rohit just ran to Shiraz and having a little chat. Clearly have come up with a plan. They need wickets. They're desperate for wickets at the moment. It's been a very, very good partnership between these two, between Hameed and James. And again, the field position had been changed. In the previous over for Shiraz, Rohit Sharma bought a short mid-wicket to try and bowl on the stumps and bring leg before the wicket and bowled into play. Then he went back to slips for the first couple of balls, and now again there's a change in field. Clearly they're going an onside field. We can expect him to go a bit short here with the kind of field they're setting. There's a leg slip which is going a little bit towards leg gully sort of a position here for that pull or a hook which is miscued or mistimed. And then there is a deep square leg which has been put out, and there is a short mid wicket. So there's clear plans of bowling a bit short here.
Of course, Rohit Sharma wants these wickets taken because he wants to get back out there and bat again. He'd like to spend a bit more time out in the middle. Well, third ball has taken a long time to wait for in this over, but we finally got it and worked away down to that fine leg area for a single for James, onto 18. The County 11 onto 106. Brings up the 50 partnership as well. Hameed scored 30, James 18, 107 balls for this partnership in 75 minutes. So it has steadied things down. As I say, it's not always been comfortable. No, nowhere near, but they're still there, this pair. And Hameed, of course, has been there since virtually the word go this morning. But James now onto 18. It's Hameed facing again, and it's Siraj midway through this over, turns and runs away from the Finkel end. Bowls and ducks out of the way of that one, although it didn't really get up that high, over middle and leg. Through to the keeper. So, Hameed goes off for a bit of a stroll. I guess you do, because even, you know, that didn't get up. It just wakes you up a little bit, and you have to just focus. Has a look round, see where the fielders are. There's that one dangerously there, just behind square on that onside. Don't want to be just turning it around there to him. And on the cut as well, just a backward point. Another couple of catches on the onside as well in front of square. Next ball in the air, top edge, could be gone. Now he's gone for. How's that? Now what's that come off? He's pointing at his side to his to his thigh guard. I genuinely thought that just looped there to that man behind square on the onside. They've gone for the catch now. All the time, Hameed, in fairness, didn't look at all bothered by that. The umpire's not given it, and in the end there's not too much upset seemingly from the Indian players. It looped to him, but clearly not off the bat.
Yeah, for a moment it felt like it came off the gloves and then onto the thigh pad and just looped to that leg gully fielder. But clearly Hameed didn't get any bat or gloves involved in that. Came straight off the thigh pad. He said that to the bowler.
Yeah. Next delivery, and that's square again on the onside, and the bowler accepted it. And in fact he probably did. Maybe just asked a little bit more of a question or two, but 106 for 4, and Siraj has bowled 10 overs now, 2 maidens, 1 for 23. Hameed on 56, James on 18. There haven't been too many moments like that, have there? Of sort of the umpires asked to make too many tricky, difficult calls. It's not been that sort of a game so far, despite the fact that it has been played with good intensity and good application from both the teams. And we're going to see Axar brought into the attack.
I think it's Axar Patel who's going to bowl this over.
I think
Finally.
Churchy, I would let you win, but in 6 minutes' time we're going to tea anyway. Okay, you just sit back and enjoy it, Churchy. Okay. Word got out there. Churchy's having to leave for Scarborough tonight. Let's get him on, at least for a couple of overs before tea. So let's see what he can do. That one's cut behind square. First he's bowling to James, who's on 18. So the spin of Axar Patel just has this approach of 3 or 4 yards in and bowls, and another challenge here for James now for the spin of Axar Patel to try and fend off and away. He's faced 59 deliveries for his 18. And Axar Patel again comes in and bowls, and use of the feet to whip the ball up to mid-on. A single. James to 19. County 11 to 107 for 4. Now Hameed, we know, is a good player of spin, but it's still a wonderful battle to watch this now, because it's a very good spinner who's bowling to him, Axar Patel. And contest to enjoy. So we approach tea on the second day of this 3-day game. Axar Patel bowls a little quicker and turned behind square on the onside. There could be a couple of runs here. There should be 2, and there will be 2. Hameed to 58, and the county 11 to 109 for 4.
Yeah, both Axar Patel and Jadeja are very similar sort of bowlers. They don't really turn the ball much. They both kind of skiddy, bowl quite quick. Same like Patterson bowled in the first innings for the county 11, pretty flat and quick.
In again, and that was quick, and it's taken down the leg side by the keeper. And Hameed goes off for just a small stroll, not too long, just a little bit of a stroll, then back to his mark again. Bowler in, playing back, punched into the offside, still got a couple of catches out there in the cover region, but it's the end of the over. 3 runs came from it, leaving the county 11 at 109 for 4. India having scored 311, and Patel's a bowler gets through his overs quickly as well. That one over bowled. So we've got 38 overs remaining for the day, but we'll be taking tea on time at 3:40. on this second day. That was quite almost alarming yesterday, the way that England, the County 11 got through 30 overs first session, 30 overs second session, 30 overs third session, finishing virtually on the dot of 6 o'clock.
They did finish on the dot, and also it felt like they knew exactly which bowler to bowl to be able to do that. How many overs of spin we need to bowl, how many overs of fast bowling. It seemed like they've calculated the time.
How long to chat amongst themselves sometimes in between overs.
Everything was calculated to be able
Will Rhodes, he's a clever captain. He's a clever chap. James on 19, and it's Siraj to continue bowling now. Well, ducks out with one which really doesn't get up at all through to the keeper. He's bowling to Lyndon James on his 19. Got Nish Kumar, sadly not live. I'd love to talk to him live, but it's next best thing. We've got a recording of a view from the boundary coming up at tea in around 4 minutes from now. Terrific comedian. Gosh, there aren't many things that would make me turn the telly on, but to know he was on, that would make me turn the telly on. Top comedian. James on 19, turned away onto the onside and scamper through for one. In fact, they're going to come back for a second and have to get those legs pumping. And Haseeb just a little bit concerned as he was running to the non-striker's end, but the throw was coming at that end and wanting to make his ground, but also aware that there was a very good chance he might have been hit by that ball being thrown. But he makes his ground and manages not to be struck by the ball. 111 for 4. James moves on to 21. Siraj turns again. 2 strides and then breaks into his full with purpose approach. Oh, there's a low full toss in the end, driven into the offside from Lyndon James. A little bit uncertainty there between the two. And again, another suspicious look at the bat. Sometimes the way these batters look at the working equipment out there, their bats, as if the bat did something that was completely of its own mind. As if it's got its own life to it. 112 for 4.
Yeah, people can get very, very personal with their bats. There's a love affair which goes hand in hand.
Yeah, you never slept with a bat, did you? Did you?
I might have.
Oh, really?
Not slept with the bat, yeah, but I might
but some
have
do, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
they
just
do,
yeah. Oh dear, what's going on in the world? Hameed on 58. Little tickle round the corner, it's gone fine. It'll be a single. And 59, 113 for 4. There we are. It's a funny thing though, isn't it? Fully grown men and women, no doubt. Yeah. Batters who just sometimes just feel they can't let the bat out of their grasp. So why would you? But you're telling me you have done that, aren't you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
When I was very young, maybe, yeah. Not once I've started playing professionally.
No, not once you started going to school.
No.
James on 22. That gets up, sharpish delivery, pushed back down to the bowler, and no run. 113 for 4. But the point is, you should cherish that of which could make or break you at times. Out there, you've got to look after these things.
It's the most important part of the equipment, your bat, if you're a batsman.
Yeah.
So you've got to have the right weight, the right balance, the right pickup, all of that, the right grains.
Got to be happy, got to feel confident with it. And then if it lets you down, chuck it. Next ball, defensively played onto the onside by James again.
You can afford to chuck it if you're playing international cricket. You can't afford to chuck it if you're a club cricketer.
Oh, tell me about
expensive.
It. I had to buy one from a boy the other day. Oh dear.
Yeah.
113 for 4. Hameed on 59. James on 22. Siraj 11 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 27. You know, for all the talk there is about getting the game out to different communities and different areas of the country and people of different backgrounds, providing the sort of cricket perhaps that you think they need to see is one thing, but you've got to try and make it a bit more affordable to play as well. It's something that is overlooked often. Very often. I mean, I can't get over the tales I'm told of players at representative levels, children, youngsters of 12, 13, 14 years of age. Here, this next delivery is defensively played by Hameed. who, because of the various stages they're making, often families have to buy 3, if not 4, different kits for that summer.
Yeah, for different age group, yes, because the different sizes of bats, and that could be very expensive for a family.
Could be. It's massive expense. Pushed into the offside, no run. And for my money, of absolutely no, because sometimes these are the same counties, but just different parts of a county or different things. That is actually going to be prohibitive, is prohibitive for some families to take part in the game. That's the sort of thing that needs addressing. Next delivery. Fired in and pushed away onto the onside. There'll be no run. I say prohibitive. It makes people feel uncomfortable, as if perhaps there isn't a place for them within the game. Actually, that if they're good enough, hopefully somebody will help. But one's pushed again, playing back and pushing it back up to Axar Patel here, who's now into his second over.
I get it all the time in my coaching academy and stuff, where parents come and they say,
next delivery, fired in, no run, played square on the offside.
If they have to spend that kind of money, they say, first let's see if he even enjoys it before spending that sort of money, because this is very, very expensive to buy a whole kit. The pad, the helmet, the gloves, the thigh pad, the bat. There's so much equipment you need to buy to play cricket.
And that is pushed again defensively. I think that should be T. And it is going to be T. Patel finishes off that session with a maiden over. So you're up some there, if we will. I mean, what else can we really say about Haseeb Hameed? We can tell you that he's in the England squad for the first 2 tests that has been named today, and he is just looking the business, isn't he? Just looking as if he knows where he's at now. Looking good. Lyndon James, a bit more tentative. He's not Hameed, but he's still there. 65 balls faced for his 22. So a little bit of a word about the batting this afternoon to start with, and then we'll have a word about the bowling, but the batting.
I think the batting has been very, very good, especially by Hameed, and I think once he found out that he's been selected in the England squad for the first 2 tests, that would have taken so much pressure away from his shoulder. He would have come out there after lunch with a completely free mind. Yes, he still wanted to get runs, he still wanted to bat well, but that pressure of, if I don't get runs, I might not get selected, was completely off his mind. And that would have made life a lot easier. And at the same time with him, I think James, though he was looking very streaky when he came into the middle, but he settled down quite nicely. And just going to tee on 22 not out would give him a lot of confidence when he comes out after tee. And from the bowling point of view, I think it's been a very, very good performance from all the bowlers so far. They have been on the money throughout the day. They've hardly let them score freely. 49 overs for 113, losing 4 wickets here. So I think overall we have seen some really good cricket, even though it's a practice match, it's a warm-up match, but the intensity has been right up there. And a lot of times that could drift very, very easily in these sort of matches.
This is a quality team. I think if I'm India, even though you've got some teenagers here, some players are actually making a first-class debut. I'm thinking that Ashley Giles and the ECB and the counties have done us a good turn here.
Well, they've done a wonderful job to turn out first of all, to put up a team together in such short notice and put up a very decent team. Yeah, they might not be experienced cricketers. The few of them has not played first-class cricket, but still they all look very talented. They bowled really well. They come out and they're putting up a fight here. They're not just rolled over for 100 against a very, very experienced and a very good bowling attack.
But to recover, they were lost the first wicket at 20, then at 29 for 3, and then when Rhodes was out, it was 56 for 4. So just quickly tell you, Jake Libby was bowled by Yadav for 12. Yates was caught by the keeper off the bowling of Bamber for 1. Sundar was caught by Rohit in the slips off the bowling of Siraj for 1, and then Will Rhodes was bowled by Yadav for 11. So James not out 22 and Hameed not out 59. The bowling analysis as it stands: Yadav 10 overs 3 maidens 2 for 18. Bumrah 10 overs 3 maidens 1 for 23. Siraj 11 overs 2 maidens 1 for 27. Thakur 9 overs 4 maidens, no wickets for 22. Jadeja 7 overs 3 maidens, no wickets for 18. And Patel has bowled 2 overs 1 maiden, no wicket for 3 runs. And we're back with more on both the stream and with commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra, with some live cricket for you in around 15 minutes from now. But now it's time to sit back and have a bit of a laugh, no doubt, because I think this fellow's absolutely brilliant. Comedian Nish Kumar took a view from the boundary with Jonathan Agnew at the Ageas Bowl back in 2018.
I'm not putting any pressure on either you or me, but this is the first thing I've done in my entire career that I know my family is engaging with.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, your dad,
my dad is here. My father is. This may well be a turning point in my relationship with my whole family, because my dad might actually start telling our relatives in India what I do for a living instead of saying that I've been on a decade-long gap year. At which point, there's got to be a few of them that are thinking jail.
They probably are. Or North Sea oil rig.
North Sea oil rig, yeah.
So you're suggesting that they haven't necessarily bought into your stand-up comedy?
No, it took them a while to buy into it. They they rented it for a couple of years,
right.
Then rescinded that, and now they finally bought. I think TMS is the last veneer of credibility that I needed.
So you love your cricket anyway, obviously.
Absolutely,
clearly.
yeah. I mean, I think it's absolutely unavoidable. If you're born in this country with Indian parentage, you can't really escape cricket. And it's one of the most interesting things is spending a lot of time in India as I do, is seeing the relationship India has with cricket, because it's absolute fanaticism.
It is.
You know, I've seen pictures.
It wasn't always like that, though, I don't think.
No, I don't think it was.
No.
But it's now tipped over into a kind of... I mean, I've genuinely been to Hindu temples where outside they have pictures of gods and a picture of Tendulkar.
Yeah. It is a sort of fanaticism, though, isn't it? Whether it's telly that's done it and the IPL. But I mean, I toured there, first of all, in the mid-'80s, and there were huge crowds.
Yeah.
Calcutta, I remember, 85, 90,000 there at Eden Gardens, but it wasn't quite the same sort of madness.
Yeah, that's right.
Fanaticism and fireworks and all that sort of stuff. It was just people who loved cricket,
of course,
but slightly in a calmer atmosphere than there is these days.
Now it's really intense, and also cricketers are kind of rock stars in India. It's really hard to explain to people, especially people in England who don't necessarily like cricket, to explain that in India Virat Kohli is basically Mick Jagger.
Would it work here, do you think? Well, can you imagine? And we've got this new tournament that's going to get new people.
Yeah, sure.
Southern Asian people. They hope to come, which suggests therefore they might try and tap into that sort of thing. Do you think it'll work here?
I mean, I hope that it brings people to the game. I'm slightly cynical about the idea of just shortening it until eventually we end up with 1 over cricket or whatever it is. I'm always slightly wary about that. But then I was quite suspicious of 2020, and I think what I'm basically discovering is that when it comes to cricket, my peak enjoyment of cricket would have been about 1973 had I been alive at the time.
It wasn't quite. It was quite dull then. I think you got Jeff Boycott blocking it. I think it's got a bit more entertaining these days, even Test cricket. What do you remember then? So here you are, your first generation, and your dad's here. Obviously, loves his cricket.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Kerala with him, which is lovely. With cricket in your household then, as a kid, what was it? Was it English cricket? Was your dad talking about Indian cricket? Was it? How did it all work?
Well, I've grown up with the spectre of the legend of Sonny Gavaskar.
Have you?
As a kind of hanging over
my dad's
favourite
generation.
Yeah, my dad's hero.
Well, you might meet him in a minute. He's working with us today.
But I started watching cricket really in the kind of early mid-90s when the Indian team was sort of Tendulkar plus 10 others.
Yes.
But I will always have a huge amount of affection for that era, and particularly that England team as well. The kind of England team of Alex Stewart, Graham Thorpe and Darren Gough.
Had a lot of down points as well, the England team at that stage, let's be honest.
Down points.
Cool, did they ever, didn't they?
But I will always have a special place in my heart for that era of English cricket. Especially Darren Gough was one of my heroes.
Oh, was he?
When I was a young man. Yeah, it was that particular period of English cricket. Yeah, was when.
What did Goughy do for you then?
I think he had. I liked the sort of slingy action. He was an English bowler that could sort of muck in with the kind of Pakistanis with the reverse swing. Yep. He had that sort of slingy thing, and he also stood up to the Australians, and he was really one of the sort of England cricketers who really wasn't overawed by that Australian team, which was at the time just absolutely steamrollering everyone.
Very committed, Goughy, wasn't it? I mean, you always knew you were getting 100% out of Darren Gough, tearing in. Yeah. Did you ever meet Tendulkar? Have you ever? I mean, have you ever?
I once touched the hem of his garment.
You touched the hem of his garment? I hope appropriately.
We went to see India play Sri Lanka at the Oval. I think it would have been in 2002.
Yes.
And just as he was coming up, we were sat in the stand just underneath where the dressing rooms are. And just as he was coming past, everyone was sort of patting the players on the back. And I just remember just slowly, it was like an out-of-body experience, just slowly reaching out and just stroking Tendulkar's back.
Oh, he's back.
It was not my finest moment in retrospect, but I think I was so I queued for 3 hours in probably the late 90s to meet Brian Lara. So it was like, there are certain kind of totemic cricketers in my mind.
Well, there's certainly two of that generation, aren't they?
But seeing Tendulkar in person was a pretty overwhelming experience.
How did he feel?
He felt classy.
Did he?
He felt classy.
So it was disappointing
and
he didn't.
Smelt superb.
Did he? Again, disappointing if he hadn't. So it was a positive experience.
It was a completely positive experience for me. For him, I imagine it was quite disconcerting.
It might have been. But yeah, he's kind of used to it. And you mentioned Sonny. I mean, we work with Sonny in India as well. Yeah. And the adulation for these people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is extraordinary. I mean, do you think it's healthy? Do you think it's good?
I'm not sure how healthy it is for the people involved. I'm not sure, because I imagine Tendulkar's had quite a tricky life, and you read things about him that he has to he can really only go places at midnight because otherwise he'll be mobbed, and I imagine that's quite tricky. I mean, for the country, every nation needs its heroes, and I mean, in this country, our footballers tend to be the kind of national icons, and in India, the cricketers just fill that role, but it's just so much more intense because it's a nation of 1 billion people.
Yes.
There's Virat Kohli's shoulders are currently carrying the hopes of a sixth of the world's population or whatever it is. So I mean, the pressure must be incredibly intense.
It must be. I don't understand how they cope with that quite. I mean, I was sat at cricket grounds in India when Tendulkar, the openers had gone out, as it were, and there's a very small crowd. Yeah. I remember this, particularly when we were in Nagpur, I think, or something like that. And then word gets out that Tendulkar's about to come in. Yeah. The wicket falls. And you could just see a sort of cloud of dust coming towards the cricket ground. A bit like the road runner. But it would be about 2,000 motorbikes all kicking up this dust and parking at the ground. And everyone, suddenly the ground's full.
It's extraordinary.
Incredible how he played his cricket so brilliantly, but with that pressure.
Yeah, it is. I almost can't relate to what that must be like to have that weighing on you the entire time, and especially for periods where he was carrying the team, kind of in the kind of late 90s, but really before the kind of emergence of the Ganguly era. Yes, he was carrying the team for a long time, and then that kind of early 2000s period when India came through with Dravid, and there was a bit more, and Sehwag, there was a bit. Yeah. It was a bit, I think, easier for him.
I loved Sehwag.
Oh, Sehwag. He was box office. He was absolute. It was a 0 or 100. Very little in between. Yes. He was pure box office. I've never seen someone. It was funny, but that he was in the team at the same time as Rahul Dravid, because you couldn't have had. You couldn't have had two more opposite players. No. Dravid is the absolute textbook technical batsman. You could teach kids how to play cricket just by showing them video of Rahul Dravid, and then it must have been so frustrating for him to look down the other end and see Sehwag I don't think he moved his feet once in 10 years.
No. Carving a ball here all over the place.
Swinging wildly, but like also just pure hand-eye coordination as well. Like it's the most extraordinary ability to just plant his feet like a baseball player and just absolutely smash the ball to all parts of the ground. It must have been. It was. I mean, that's the joy of cricket, isn't it? That you
total contrasts,
complete contrast, and you can have. There's so much technique and so much stuff that you can learn, but there is also the space for genius and unteachable genius.
Tell me about queuing up for Brian Lara then. Where was that?
He's in Debenhams on Oxford Street.
What?
Brian Lara.
What was he doing in there?
It's a different era of cricket.
Right.
Brian Lara did a signing when he came out with this kind of range of, I think maybe it was clothing. It was certainly like a Brian Lara signature range.
Right.
And we went to...
shirts or honestly, underwear or something? Or?
I think it might be a combination of the two.
Right.
But I honestly, if my cousins hadn't been with me, I would have thought that I made this up, because we went to Oxford Street to the Debenhams, and there was a queue of thousands of people.
Right.
And everyone was waiting, and it was just a full queue of West Indians and Indians
Really?
who were queuing to meet Brian Lara. And it was, it was so intense that we ended up waiting, I think, for sort of 2.5 hours in the queue to try and get to him. And when we did meet him, and I've got Brian Lara's autograph.
Signed on what?
I had an old autograph book that I also have Brian Lara's autograph, and I also have the autograph of Phil Tufnell. I've got Tuffer's autograph. Yeah, I met him.
When did you get that?
I met him at when he retired at Bronsbury Cricket Ground. He had this kind of event for the end of his career. I would dare say Tuffers wouldn't remember it, because even though I was quite young at the time, I was certainly old enough to know he was somewhat refreshed.
I think you got the wrong man. I think you've got a forged Phil Tufnell autograph. I can't believe Philip will have been like that.
He was somewhat refreshed in the mid-afternoon.
Oh, no, definitely not Tuffers. How dare you possibly mention that? Here we go. Lara was at Debenhams. Oh, it was a jeans company, you say.
Right.
Thank you indeed, Henry, for that. Yeah, there you go. In August 95, so a long time ago.
Wow, that is a long time ago.
Yeah, well, at least you got his signature. I got his signature once. When he got his 375 at Antigua, I had an Antiguan T-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought, I've got to get it. And it was for my soon-to-be wife, a charity event. What could be better to auction Brian Lara on an Antigua shirt on the day he scored 375? And I went up and got to interview him.
Yeah.
Got the felt pen. Best wishes, Brian Lara, all over the front of that T-shirt. Thought, fantastic. I'm in here. I had a last bit of persuasion for Emma, really. This was going to clinch it. This was the deal clincher.
Deal clincher.
Got home. I was in a bachelor flat. Opened the suitcase, washing machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Out it came. Can I tell you, Purcell does wash whiter. Ruined. Beautiful T-shirt. But anyway, it was...
Beautiful T-shirt, absolutely spotless.
Yeah. So that was disappointing. Did you play?
You're very, very badly. I played probably from the age of about... Probably from 8 or 9 until I was about 14 or 15 years old. And I started out as an opening bowler. And then I just started out as right-arm fast.
Yes.
And then fast medium.
Quite a sight.
There's
quite
elements of Lasith Malinga about my head.
There is. There's a good start.
It was, but then what happened was that the other kids all grew, and I did not. So I slowly went from fast medium to medium fast to medium, and when I ended my glorious cricketing career, I was an off-spin bowler.
Right.
Just by I didn't really turn the ball. I just was bowling quite slowly.
Right.
I think, and what I was hoping for was a sort of gust of wind would drag it back into the batsman.
Yeah.
But I won. I mean, this is something I've talked about on stage a few times. I played for Addiscombe Cricket Club in Croydon, and I won, when I was 11 years old, I won an award for cricket. And whenever you say that to people go, oh, you must have been quite a good player. But I always say...
Man of the match or something?
Yeah, wait until you hear the award, because it was better. The awards were best batsman, best bowler, and best all-round player. I didn't win any of those. I won an award called Clubman of the Year.
Oh, that's always rather nice.
Which I subsequently found out was presented on the criteria of the boy who'd shown the most enthusiasm in the face of an overwhelming lack of ability.
That's what it usually is. Yes, if as a little tip, if you see yourself being nominated as Clubman of the Year, I think you just erase your name. It's a very nice award to have.
It's a lovely award to have.
It is a reflection of your ability, though, I'm afraid.
It is a reflection. It's to date the only piece of any success I've enjoyed in sport is 1997 or maybe 1996 Addiscombe Colts Cricket Club Clubman
of the Year.
Yeah.
Do you still keep the trophies?
I've still got the trophy. I've still got the trophy at home. It was, I think, because my dad is actually he's quite a good sportsman, and in fact quite a lot of my family are quite very sort of naturally talented. Two of my cousins, one of my cousins certainly played for England up to the under-19s, I think.
Right.
And his brother was also really, really talented cricketer. Across my entire family, there's just, people who are just, if not outstanding, at least have a kind of natural faculty for ball games. Whereas I'm some sort of outlier. Malcolm Gladwell could write a whole book about me. I'm some kind of weird rogue element that I have absolutely no hand-eye coordination whatsoever and have the sort of natural body shape of a 50-year-old accountant. So it's like the combination. I don't really know where it went wrong for me.
But you see, where I would have had you, if you were in my team,
yeah,
because you, I think, would be perfect at this. I would have you close enough to the batsman. I think I'd probably have you fielding in the gully.
Yeah.
Because I reckon you would be a magnificent sledger. Because sledging for me is not being rude and horrid and nasty.
No.
It's the acerbic
Yeah.
one-liner that's this digs away at the batsman. And I think a cricketing comedian would be a fantastic sledger, in the proper sense of sledging, just interrupting a batsman's train of thought, getting into his head, being a little bit rude.
I think that probably would be my best position.
I think you would.
I think if you've got a really
You'd
strong
be the team sledger.
Yeah, the team sledger. Just have me out there, just in the batsman's ear. I mean, we're comedians, so we're used to being heckled. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could turn around some of the stuff that I've heard on stage.
Yes.
And get into people's heads.
Yeah, because that's what that's all about.
Nish Kumar. Are you a fan, Churchy?
Of Nish Kumar, yes, very much. I think a very funny man. Very funny man indeed.
2018. Oh, what's happened since then, Churchy? A lot's happened since then.
Huge amounts happened since then.
It's a massive amount. What's going to happen near the future? Well, it says on that big board away to my right-hand side that plays to resume at 16:01, and yet the clock underneath it says 1641 seconds, and it's only the two umpires out there. I think that is wrong. I don't think we'll be starting at 4:01. But I've enjoyed today again, and we've got 2 more hours to come here on 5 Live Sports Extra, bringing you coverage of the first-class county cricket 11. And select 11, beg your pardon. Bow selector 11. And they're taking on India. And we've got our 2 batters, including Haseeb Hameed and Lyndon James, who are about to make their way out to the middle. And they'll resume on 113 for 4 after India made 311. Hameed 59 of 162 deliveries. Is Nottinghamshire teammate Lyndon James on 22 from 65. And why have we enjoyed it today? Well, I didn't enjoy. I'd much preferred if Libby had got some runs, Yates had got some runs, and Will Rhodes had got some runs. Because I like them as people anyway. They're some terrific young men, good cricketers, and I would love it if they got a few runs. I'll be a bit disappointed by that. But the story, batting-wise, has been Hameed. He's been included by England for the first 2 tests in that squad, and he's shown why he's back, because he's just been batting beautifully. But the bowling has been good. We've even seen a couple of overs of your Axar Patel. Hopefully we'll get a bit more with you on commentary in a few moments' time. Who knows? But it's been a good run out again, and cricket played properly, and on a glorious backdrop, which now is just the most perfect summer afternoon for us to watch. Sadly, of course, it's behind closed doors, which is obviously a great shame, but hopefully you're enjoying it watching on the stream as well, and from wherever you are in the world perhaps watching that, good afternoon or good evening, because now it'll be supper time in South Asia. So if you're having your supper, I wonder what you're having. I don't think it'll be hot chocolate, but you never know. It may be hot chocolate. So welcome along to the 3rd session on day 2. It's a 3-day first-class match, and if you are just joining us, maybe at this time for whatever reason, we've had a good day and 2 sessions, and a match which has been played out properly, as illustrated right at the start today, when India were 9 wickets down. Already got 309 on the board, and they decided to carry on batting. They only got 2 more runs before Craig Miles picked up another wicket. And it's been a good, honest battle between the bowler and batters ever since. And we just await the start, which is now 3 minutes past 4, Churchy, so that was poor advertising.
Yes, a little bit late on the 24-hour clock that you were all laughing at me about at lunchtime.
Well, I thought we were laughing with you, Church. I hate to think.
Spent a lot of these 2 days laughing at me.
No, I don't think that's harsh. Yadav in and bowls and push back up to the bowler. If you're referring to your wonderful Durham City tour, we weren't laughing with you there, Church. We were enjoying ourselves. It was a very fine tour.
I know Abhishek's really disappointed that I'm off tonight, because he was looking forward to part two of that. The tour tonight.
Going around the old university buildings you used to were taught in.
Take it to the library.
Oh, well, our loss, Churchy, our loss, and Scarborough's gain tonight. Bowls up onto his toes, and that's punched by James for for no run. Not too sure what time you'll get to Scarborough tonight.
Well, what is it? A couple of hours from here, would you say?
Every bit, my friend.
Yes. So
I don't know. It's the easiest of routes.
Oh, thank you. You're really building this one up for me tonight.
I'll just have a bit of a check.
It's downhill, though, isn't it?
Well, I think there'll be a bit of uphill.
Will there? Yeah.
At some point.
Yes. I don't mind. I've got the 100 to listen to in the car. That will keep me entertained.
Yadav in bowls. That was quite short and it didn't take off at all, did it?
Well, it's been interesting, this. There's been sort of a couple that really, for KL Rahul behind the stumps, have been a nightmare in the fact that they've bounced on the half volley to him. But then we've seen a couple really sort of take off as well. So, yeah, it's been interesting. And Hameed's played brilliantly for these 59 runs. And Lyndon James has stuck with him here on 22. Still a very young man, but he's played pretty well for these 22.
Yes, indeed. And plays back to that, punched into the offside, no run. Well, so you're gonna go around Middlesbrough.
Am I? Oh.
Not quite. You're going to touch the coast at Whitby.
Lovely. It's nice there.
Captain Cook territory. And then you're going to come back inland a little bit, which is always a little bit disappointing. And then eventually end up at Scarborough. 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
From the moment you leave.
It's not too bad. It's about 9 o'clock, I would have thought.
Something like that, yeah. 113 for 4 here. County 11, a shorter ball, which James initially shapes if he's going to pull, but actually withdraws the bat out of the way.
Lyndon James bowled really nicely yesterday, and batting-wise, he just looks a very natural player. There's no great sort of airs or graces or waving of the bat. He just looks a very natural player, like he's got a very good eye and good hands as well.
Next delivery from Yadav, perhaps him low on the pads, but going down and onto the onside. So the first over completed after tea. We've 35 overs remaining.